Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Progressive Discussions. Yes, Progressive Discussions is here again very quickly because it is Sunday evening. I'm your host, James Pirana Madonna. I'm with my co-host, Damian the Dissenter Owens. Okay, and it happens to be the end of September to Remember 2020. It is autumn, but we're having a few warm days until Wednesday, and then after Tuesday evening, we will get typical autumn weather, which I'm very happy about because I like the cool and crisp weather. And apple cider, pumpkin pie, and all that good stuff. Now, winter squashes. Even though there are many skulls that I would love to squash. Speaking of squash. Now, I'm playing the Carnival song that we normally play on the Friday show, but I'm playing it because of what is about to happen in a couple days. Tuesday night is the greatest show on earth. It will be a carnival. It will be a carnival sideshow. You know, like the carnival snake oil salesmen, the barkers, the charlatans. Well, we're going to see the worst in establishment politics. The worst that capitalism has to offer. We're going to see in column A, the current president of the United States, the bloated orange demon with roadkill on his head, the pathological liar, the very corrupt, the very narcissistic, the very greedy, self-centered, self-serving, grandiose, self-righteous, and all the above, Donald Trump. And in column B, I have to talk Chinese restaurant style. In column B, we have also an establishment politician from the Democratic Party, which is also controlled by the oligarch, the very corrupt DNC, with the scrawny bucktooth weasel Tom Perez that screwed over Bernie Raisin Balls Sanders. Once again, for the second time, we have Bob. Come on, man, Joe Biden. We have touchy-feely Uncle Joe Biden. Now, I hope he will be loaded up with stimulants, and I hope he drinks like a Red Bull or something and gets himself real enthusiastic, because I was watching CNN, and this woman was giving some pointers to what Joe Biden should do and should not do. Of course, he should hammer Donald Trump with the facts, nothing but the facts, man. The proven facts cause Donald Trump to lose his temper, to lose his cool, lose his composure, start talking word salad and nonsense, and pretty much completely go ballistic. As long as Biden does that, sticks to proven true facts, mentions all of the profuse multitudes of lies that Donald Trump has told every day, if he sticks to the game plan and doesn't rant and ramble, as long as he doesn't become a rambling man and start going, blah, blah, blah. Oh, let me tell you a story about a man named Jay. You know how, sometimes Joe Biden goes off out in left field on a tangent and he starts his rambling. He can't do that during a debate, because if he starts doing the ba 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 ba, Trump, the Trumpanzee, the Trumpenstein monster, is going to capitalize on that, and he's going to start making senility, dementia jokes, or dementia, I should say, sarcasm. So if he sticks to his game plan, it'll be fine. But my prediction is it will be the greatest show on earth. It will be a carnival sideshow. It will be a total joke, an embarrassment to the entire world, even though the United States is already a total embarrassment to the world. The United States, as we know it right now, is in complete, utter chaos. Total chaos. And I'm not talking about the organization on Get Smart, which was a real funny show back then. But it is in chaos in more ways than one. I was watching Dr. Anthony Fauci on the latest Daily Show with Trevor Noah. I don't know why he was smiling from ear to ear like a jack-o'-lantern. Like a Cheshire cat. He was so happy. He mentioned he had vocal cord surgery, and before he sounded like Don Vito Corleone from the Godfather movie. Now he sounds like himself, but he was a little too cheerful. And then after all the jokes got pushed aside, he started talking about all the pharmaceutical companies that are either in phase 3 of their vaccine or closely approaching phase 3, and it looks really promising. And then his eyes lit up and his smile got bigger. And I'm like, why is he so excited about the vaccine and not mentioning all the other treatments that we have for COVID-19? Now, so my biggest challenge is to find out what succulent snacks, what kind of food I'm going to acquire for this greatest show on earth, because it's going to be a true stand-up comedy club carnival show, to say the least. Now, I know you have been doing a lot of research, Damien the Decenter Owens, and you have been watching a lot of underground videos, and you have been amassing a lot of knowledge concerning the state of the union for the season of autumn and before the election, the pre-election information that you have gathered. And you got some heavy-duty things to talk about.
Oh, yeah, you bet I do.
And now it is time for you to talk.
Okay, everyone. So strap yourselves in. Make sure you are good and fastened in, because we're going for one hell of a ride. And here's how the ride is going to go. For the next little bit, as the tarot cards have shown, that we are at the darkest hour. We are at the darkest time. This is the moment we've all been waiting for. This is the moment that has been coming and is now finally here. It is now time to really make the stance of where you are, who you are, and what your line in the sand is. Because other people have already figured that out and are now drawing the line in said sand. And here's the line. People are physically and mentally tired. They are done and over this bullshit. They want it to end now. What is going on cannot sustain itself any longer. The problems that have stemmed from this, that are far worse and far overreaching than the original problem, is just so in your face now that it's unbelievable. People want to be respected. They want to be cared for. And ultimately, there wants to be a restoration of love among humanity. And we are seeing that now with the rise of people taking off the masks. When I was out dashing the past couple nights, less and less people are wearing them. Establishments, whether it's stores, restaurants, they're not enforcing it. And in fact, there were even some places I went into that the customers weren't wearing the masks, nor were the employees of the staff of said establishment. So the jig is up. The scam and the fraud is done. It's over. People are not all of a sudden just going to buy into it and just start complying with it now. Not with everything that has now been coming forward. And then now what humanity wants is what I just mentioned above. Now, we're not going to see the great awakening yet. This is the precursor to the great awakening. It's an awakening nonetheless, but it's not the real great big one. This is only going to wake up maybe 1 to 5% of the population. But at this point, that's really all it takes to get it going. That 1 turns into 2, and then 4, and then 8, and 16. You get the picture. So, I can already tell you right now what the debate is going to be. Biden is going to get his ass handed to him on a silver platter. Because there is something that has now surfaced that is going to absolutely ruin Joe Biden's credibility. If you don't believe me, you can go online and look this up for yourself. It's a video from 2016 when Joe Biden was bragging about who he had appointed to the academy. And while the troops were clapping, he literally said, and I'm not shitting you, he literally said, "Yeah, clap for that, you dumb bastards." What? Joe Biden literally clapping military personnel dumb bastards? But then yet they're trying to accuse Trump of that, even though really there's not been any real solid proof that's come forward of that. But here, Joe Biden doing it, and there's actual video proof of it. So, right off, he's not going to win over the police and the military. No fucking way. With that comment, Joe Biden might as well just go ahead and blow off both of his feet right now. And then with the foot that's now been blown off, insert it into mouth. That is just how disastrous and how terrible that is going to be for Joe Biden. Now, Sanders has now shown his real colors. Bernie Sanders has now jumped on board fully with the Democrats. And he has literally said there are multiple plans to deal with Donald Trump if, for some reason, he does win and he wins legitimately, and the Democrats contest the election and he refuses to leave even though he legitimately won. So Sanders is in on it too. He's now bought into the New World Order agenda. So honestly, fuck him. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is how humanity has woken up to seeing how everything for what it really is. Anything and everything that they've been taught and that they've been told is now being subject to questioning and is now being subjected to scrutiny. Here's how. Imagine if we were to take just a time travel back in time. Let's say just as easy as let's say 6-7 months. And we were to tell ourselves back then what it would be like now, we would laugh and say, "You're full of it." There's no way that humanity would wake up now and then all of a sudden they just get it. It's like that final aha moment and just the light bulb moment and it just clicks and they get it. They'd be like, no way. Humanity is too dumb and is too stupid and too asleep to really see it. Au contraire. This whole year shows that just about anything and everything is possible with the right circumstances and the right material conditions. The biggest thing people now see is when you give other individuals who are power hungry and power mad, when you give them that power, they will take it and they will use it and they will abuse it. Pure and simple, they will do it. And then also now, people are starting to see that there really is a real agenda that is not pro human, that really is not in the best needs and the best wants of humanity. And that really now the idea that only a few people rule the world and the system that is run by those few people is the right hand and the coercive arm of it, that doesn't seem like a so crazy far out there idea anymore. All of what was considered alternative media or fringe ideas or fringe movements, they're not considered that anymore. Now, the biggest thing is people now see things for as they really are, that it was all done on a class-based system. And that, yeah, even though there were classes and there were division, now there really is no division. Now people would say, how could that be? Seeing how things have transpired in the past little bit, it didn't really matter who you were. It didn't really matter what your status was, your class was, what your religious or political beliefs were, how you were raised, or blah 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 blah. It didn't matter because this affected everyone. And it literally showed that in the darkest of times, in the most evil and corrupt of times, however evil and terrible they really are, it brings people together to a point. And the point that it brings people together is it brings to the forefront the division that was there, and that the division was put there superficially as a result of, X, Y, and Z. Well, now people are starting to see that. They're now seeing that, we were pitted against each other over this and over that. But while we were so busy fighting among ourselves, fighting for very asinine causes, for this or for that, it didn't matter. Because this is what brought humanity together. And the next thing they're also seeing is more aspects of how all this oppression and tyranny really took place. And that now another revolution or another civil war is going to happen. And here are the 5 main reasons why it's not only going to happen here in America, but it's going to happen throughout the rest of the world. Number 1, a certain part of the population feeling as though they have the moral right to exert their will onto other people, regardless of whether it's for good or for bad. Really, at this point, we see what it really was, but for the purposes of this, that really it's irrelevant. That when that certain part of the population gives that rise to their moral position, they're going to take it and they're going to go for it. All right, number 2, living standard. This whole entire scamdemic and this plandemic has really brought down the standard of living, not only of people here in America, but throughout the entire world. They've now estimated that there are millions more on the verge of starving, millions that have already starved to death, that there are millions more that are going to starve to death as a result of what's happened. And then now we're also starting to see the rapid economic decline. It's not happened yet. The collapse has not happened yet, but it is fast approaching. And people see that. They see that ramping up debt, keeping people away from each other, keeping people away from their jobs, their livelihoods, and keeping human beings away from what inevitably makes them human is what's going to ultimately cause the great collapse. All right, number 3, the state being the prize for winning. Well, the state is nothing more than just a coercive arm. It's an apparatus for the exertion of the will of that particular ruling elite. That is all a state or all a government is. Well, now that we've seen what they want and what they have done and what will do if things keep going the way that they're going, all the alarm bells are now ringing and sounding off. All right. Number 4. Number 4 is the acceptance of violence as a solution to a problem. As we have already seen with Antifa and Black Lives Matter, and also with far right-wing groups, that they feel as though that is the only solution to the problem. Because look at how the problems that have been perpetuated by the ruling elite, how they have actually carried it out through the coercive arms and through violence. So, in people's minds, they see, well, if that's how the ruling elite is going to assert their will over us, well, then we're going to assert our will to other people of the population, including them, through violence. So, we have all of that going on. And then the last point being, when I'm trying to think of the best way to word it because I just had a complete total brain fart. It'll probably come back to me here in a minute. So we'll come back to that if it comes back to me. But the final point being, where people now see all of that, how it's so overt and in your face, that, like I said, all the divisions that were pushed on to us as human beings, how it caused us to be pitted against one another, to fight one another, it was all superficial. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all are one race. We are one species. But we have common ground with each other. And the common ground being, we want to be respected, we want to be cared for, and ultimately we want to love and to be loved. So that's what is uniting people together. And they thought this was going to be a very easy power grab by the ruling elite, that they were just going to come in, do this, do that, brainwash, manipulate, and control people on a massive scale, and get a clean getaway. Surprise, motherfuckers, you didn't. You got caught. You're continuing to get caught. You're not going to win this battle. So at this point, they might as well go ahead and give it up right now, because just enough of humanity has woken up to change the tide and to change the course of history. The pro-human society and the pro-human future is going to happen. There's no way to escape it. Now, what will it look like in X amount of time is really anyone's guess. But at least now we see what humanity wants. And it's going to get it one way or another. So that was really my whole entire take on it. Yeah, the election, it's going to be entertaining to a point, but really, it's going to be sad. It's going to be pathetic. And after we've been seeing what has been transpired and what the Democrats keep pushing, despite how bad and evil Donald Trump is, they are literally giving him all the fuel and all of the ammo They need to completely destroy Joe Biden and the Democrats. Now, the Republicans, they're going to engage in their own behavior and do this and do that. But after seeing what I just, told you about Joe Biden coming out and saying that with the military, and now Sanders is in on this, and then now we've got Nancy Pelosi doing her little games that she's been doing on the side. It's just, it's going to be the biggest backfire that has ever been conceived of human history. Now, it may not seem really all that relevant. People will be like, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. It's not obvious now, everything I've just said. Some of it is obvious if you just go out and look. But it will transpire in due time. And like I said, the way things are going, Trump has got this. Trump and the Republicans, they're going to win this. But your people that are in Donald Trump's camp, they're going to really see him for what he really is in his second term. We saw exactly who Bush was in his second term. We saw exactly who Clinton was in his second term. We saw exactly who Obama was in his second term. But this time, third time is going to be a charm. He's going to do something so stupid and something so idiotic that the pro-Trumpers are going to quickly turn anti-Trumpers. And it's going to be a bad financial decision. The concentration of wealth that is going to be brought on by the brief period of prosperity and peace and happiness as a concession of the people for re-electing him, that's going to be it. And then when that population is woken up, that 1 to 5% is going to easily turn to 10% plus. So to all of you who say, I'm skeptical, I'm questioning, just watch. Just watch it all transpire back in due time. It will happen. The cards have shown exactly what is going to happen.
Yeah. Now, when your brain farts come back, just raise your finger and I'll dummy up. I'll shut up.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I just thought of that. Okay, so people have been wondering, is Donald Trump capable of doing anything good or noble? And that's a question I've often asked myself is, I don't like him. This is not a praise for this guy by any stretch of the imagination. And there would be absolutely no way I can vote for him. And I've given a variety of reasons why, especially being a gun owner and how he screwed over the gun community. But anyway, that's really neither here nor there. By Donald Trump defeating the New World Order, that is going to be the one and only good and noble deed that he will commit in his life. However great and noble it will be, it will not be enough to redeem him and to undo all the evil and wicked that he has done throughout his life. So I would say, honestly, Donald Trump will face the music. He will face everything that he has done in his life. And I bet I know when he will face that. He will face that in the beginning, probably in 2022, 2023. But he'll really face justice and really face the music when he's out the door come January 20th, 2025, because more stuff is coming out about his about what all he did to cheat taxes. So yeah, he might win now, and he might be biding his time for now, but all he's doing is just prolonging the inevitable. Yeah, he may not get indicted, he might not be criminally charged, prosecuted, or impeached as a sitting president, but once he's gone, he's out the door. That's it. So he better be enjoying what time he has not being under criminal investigation and really getting the fire lit to his feet or lit up under his ass for everything he's done. And ultimately, yeah, he'll win the battle for humanity by defeating the New World Order, but he'll win only the battle for winning humanity for now. He will ultimately lose getting humanity's soul. And that's what I was getting ready to get at when I had my brain fart. So that's just really all I've got to say about all of this is just sit back, relax. All of it is going to happen in due time. In fact, it's already happening right now. Just people don't want to open their eyes and really see it.
Yeah. I just want to mention that, folks out there, Donald Trump and the Republican Party are definitely no friends of the bottom 98%.
Mm-hmm.
They're corporatists, the ultimate corporatists. They're in bed with corporations. They're on the take from corporations. But then again, so are today's Democrats, or Democrats, if you want to, change the name, like I do. I give everything a nickname. The problem has always been that capitalism has failed time and time again since day one, and since the Industrial Revolution, or maybe since 1776. I mean, capitalism is a complete failure for the mainstream masses. It only works for the top 2%. It is profit before people and the planet. And the Republicans are more into profit before people and the planet. Notice, now, I am very left-wing. No,
Mm-hmm.
wait a minute. I got to keep on thinking about how the camera goes. I am extremely far left-wing. But the two major parties are just way too corrupted to reform and save. Like Raisin Balls, Bernie Sanders tries to save the Democrat Party, the DNC. He does it. The second time he did it, the second time he got screwed over, I would normally say, when is he going to learn his lesson? When he's like in a nursing home? No. Maybe Bernie Sanders. You have to have an open mind, people. Maybe he's on the take. Maybe there are true progressives in the Our Revolution community and the Democratic Socialists of America community that are real progressives, that are going to do the right thing. So don't put all your eggs into the Sanders basket. Forget it. He's Raisin Balls. That's it. He's gone. He's gone. He's gone. I mean, he is farther to the left than your average Democrat, but he's not as far to the left as people think he is. There's a lot of sycophants that say, "Oh, Bernie, you're so wonderful. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything you've done over the decades." Ooh. Yeah, right. Yeah. Guess what? You know how easy it would have been to create that new third People's Political Party in 2016? You know how and 2020, you know how easy it would have been to join the Green Party, whether it be a Sanders, a Jill Stein ticket? It would have been like that, because Our Revolution is a big organization now. They have, you saw the masses that showed up at Bernie Sanders rallies, and all the donors.
Yeah,
And the donors that gave him lots of money.
Yep. Yeah, so I'm just going to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
I'll be back
the donors
here in just a
that gave
moment.
him lots of money. He failed the donors. He failed the people that went to his rallies. He sold out the donors and the people who went to his rallies. And he should be ashamed of himself, really, because him and Nina Turner could have and Our Revolution collectively could have gotten together with the Green Party, which is a very progressive party, and the Democratic Socialists of America, and put their heads together and form a new third mega progressive People's Party that would have blown the two evil, corrupt oligarch-controlled corporatist Democrat and Republican parties right out of the water. Okay, that could have been easily done. I'm not making this up. It really could have, but it wasn't. Why wasn't it done? The big mamu, they got their palms greased. And that is the problem with capitalism, the corruption. The founding fathers, when they said all men are created equal, what they really meant was all very wealthy Caucasian land owning men were created equal. Very wealthy Caucasian landowners, not Native Americans, not women, not the slaves, of course, because they did keep slaves, and they were in the Northeast, right? No. See, capitalism, in a way, reared its ugly head after 1776, because those founding fathers that everybody, revered in their history books, they were quite wealthy in their days. They had plantations, they had slaves, they were rich, they were Caucasian, and they were the ones that had the rights. So the Industrial Revolution was a hell of a lot worse with J.P. Morgan, Carnegie, Cornelius Vanderbilt. So, no one, the 98%, I think there was a real important book that came out that my late co-host was reading, a big textbook, political. And he says, do you realize that only 10% of the 98% ever became upwardly mobile since the 1776? I said, no, I didn't know that. That sounds very small percentage. Yeah, he says, yeah, you gotta someone has to give you your first big break. You have to know the right person, you have to be at the right place at the right time, and somebody's got to give you a break in order for you to go from low income or lower middle class to upper middle class to top 2%. Yeah, you need big ass breaks. If you don't get them, you're not going to be upwardly mobile. All your money's going to go towards the racketeering cost of living, which it is racketeering. When you look at $2,500 for a 2-bedroom apartment in San Diego, San Francisco, or Midtown Manhattan. Well, Midtown Manhattan is a studio. I think, yeah, or 1-bedroom. It's racketeering. Look at the mortgages. Look at the utility bills, the cable bill, everything. Look at cars. They got robotics banging out those cars. My grandfather used to tell me, he says in the 1950s, he used to drive right to the assembly plant. There used to be a Ford assembly plant in far northeastern New Jersey, near the New York State border. There used to be a plant in Mahwah, New Jersey. He used to drive up there and say, this is what I want, bing, 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 boom, boom. He used to sit there and wait for his car right off the assembly line, and he would pay wholesale, no dealerships. He used to tell me all this stuff. And he also used to tell me about how he worked with Edgar Casey, and he used to tell me about don't listen to your wealthy Republican uncle. Capitalism is, he talked just like we do. He says socialism is the only way, and he was like a big FDR fan, but he says everybody after FDR or JFK, forget about it, with the Democratic Party. But Donald Trump he's a sideshow attraction. He's a joke. He's literally a joke, and he's not only is he the dimmest bulb on the Christmas tree, but he doesn't even, he's hanging from the end of the branch of the pine tree, ready to fall. He really is. He goes with whatever advice he gets from the people around him, the people that he appoints. Of course, he doesn't take advice from science, from the experts, but he takes advice from whatever sycophants are around him that do his bidding. And if you do or say something that he doesn't agree with, he gets quite belligerent and talks down to you and threatens to fire you. And he's like when he ran Celebrity Apprentice. But this is going to go from the debate this Tuesday night is going to go from hilarious and entertaining to, like Damien said, very sad and pathetic. And it's going to represent just what dire straits and chaos the United States is in now. I mean, it's going to sink in after you see two old geezers go at each other's throats. And I don't know. Listen, there's tons of skeletons in both their closets, and the skeletons are hanging out, ready to fall onto the floor. And it's all because of we didn't have a true progressive that really gave a shit about the mainstream masses, the people, the 98%. Yeah, Bernie Sanders sounded like he gave a shit. But if he gave a shit, he wouldn't have capitulated and backed up Biden. He would have ran under the Green Party with Howie Hawkins, or he would have, it was good enough for Ralph Nader and Jill Stein and then the Green Party and Jesse Ventura. So he could have joined Howie Hawkins. He could have formed a new party, but no. He gave up. He sold his people out, and he backed Joe Biden. And Joe Biden's a corporatist. Kamala Harris is a corporatist. Amy Klobuchar was a real corporatist. And a fanatical feminist. Everything was, we need a woman. We need a woman here. We need a woman there. We need to elect women everywhere. That used to come out of her mouth as she was shaking, like Ronald Reagan used to, shaking the head, So it was a joke. I only liked Tom Steyer, even though he was a billionaire. He sounded more progressive than all the others. The rest were in bed with the corporate elites, and it was a joke. It was a joke because the DNC was not going to nominate a real progressive or anybody that was a little bit considered to the left. They weren't going to do that. So
right.
That's that.
Yeah, that is that. However, yeah, I do want to elaborate a little bit more. I'm not saying that, the Republicans and Donald Trump are going to somehow magically fix everything. I'm just saying, by the Democrats doing what all they're doing, they're literally making the Republicans look like not so bad a guys in court to, the eyes of majority of people. So that's really the only reason why the Democrats are going to lose. Now, I can tell you right now, the Democrats and just liberals in general, or just authoritarian pieces of shit in general, they are going to fall on their sword for this. They have too much time, too much energy, and too much money invested into all of this. They're going to follow through with it, even though their plans have been exposed. We know what the agenda is. We know what their game is. The jig and the game is up, but they're still going to do it anyway. So that's why I say the Democrats, they're going to implode and they're going to self-destruct. And I would say after this election, the Democrat Party is done. The Democrat Party is over.
Well, between Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump, the Republicans are hanging by a thread too.
They are, but the Democrats are going to implode in on themselves first. Now, do I think it's going to be the end of leftism in America? I don't think it'll be the end of leftism in America. It's just liberalism and authoritarianism of the left. That is what will die in America. After seeing how the Democrats have pushed all this anti-human authoritarian bullshit, and that they still keep pushing it, and I'm convinced at this point, I think the only people they really have left to fool and convince are themselves. Because, like I said, the American people, they're not buying it. And not only are the American people not buying it, people throughout the world are not buying it.
Well,
It's done.
yeah, even racial and gender quotas are part of neoliberal authoritarianism. I mean, to force companies and schools, to force universities to lower their academic standards, so people from the inner city, people of color, and uh, 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 can graduate with degrees, and oh, there's not enough women in this industry. Well, you have to hire more women. You have to neoliberal authoritarianism, like you said. Uh, um, that's part of the Democratic Party. Now, when in 2008, when Ralph Nader, uh, who was with the Green Party, was being interviewed after Barack Obama made history, he says Barack Obama is an Uncle Tom, and the people on the network says, "Well, there goes your political career. You're shot. You say goodbye, kiss your political career goodbye" to Ralph Nader, because they say, "Oh, he made a racist statement." No, he was telling the truth by saying that Barack Obama was a big time corporatist, therefore selling out his people, the poor, African Americans, or the middle class African Americans. He was selling them out because he is a corporatist, and so is Joe Biden. So you know they demonize him for using that term, like what Jimmy the Greek Snyder, oddsmaker, said about selective breeding among the races. They did that. They actually did that, but it was the way he worded it. He didn't word it in a very scientific way. He worded it in a very like average Joe six pack layperson.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, got him fired.
Yeah, there was that. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It was definitely interesting, but oh, my brain fart now came back. So the fourth one is propaganda. So when news outlets, whether it's mainstream media or alternative media now, it's just one big propaganda war going on, almost like an info war, as some people want to call it. Like there literally is a war for humanity's soul and the minds and hearts of human beings right now. And it doesn't matter, which direction it's coming from. I mean, yeah, propaganda has truth in it to a point. It also has deception in it to a point. It's really up to you as an individual to really decode and to analyze and to really see the propaganda and to see, okay, is what they're saying true? Or is it complete utter bullshit? Well, that's part of the information war that is now going on. And I don't know if I mentioned this in one of the previous shows, but how Donald Trump is going to replace Dr. Fauci. And in fact, now we know who that particular doctor is. And he's actually made public statements at the White House press room, and he has gone into conflicts with reporters. And you may or may not have heard of him, but his name is Dr. Scott Atlas. He is a Stanford University doctor, and he is part of the Hoover Institute. Well, Stanford University and the Hoover Institute have actually been massively censored here in the last little bit because they keep coming out and contradicting what the UN and the World Health Organization are saying about COVID-19. So, Dr. Scott Atlas has came out and has pushed the herd immunity strategy, and he's also came out and pushed other various things. And in fact, he did a briefing with which state governor was it? I think it was Florida's governor, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, they had a joint briefing together because the governor of Florida wanted him as part of the briefing. And yeah, even though Dr. Scott Atlas is a Republican, but I hate to say it, the way he explains things in a way that is very easy to grasp and to understand, but he wants you to think. He wants you to actually go and do the research yourself. And he contradicts Dr. Fauci every single chance and turn that he gets. That's why Dr. Fauci absolutely despises him, and why some reporters in the news absolutely despise him, because how dare you contradict Dr. Fauci? How dare you contradict what, this person's saying or what that person is saying? And I think it was in part of that briefing that Dr. Scott Atlas shows exactly how you can safely reopen and just get rid of all of the COVID restrictions. And Florida is now the first state to do that. The governor of Florida has now announced that all COVID restrictions are now lifted. They've also lifted the restrictions on wearing a mask. It's not going to be formally enforced, but they've removed the criminal penalties against individuals and businesses who don't comply with this. So now we're going to start to really see, okay, a state is now going to go for the herd immunity and is now going to lift the restrictions, and now we're going to see what happens. So Dr. Scott Atlas better be right.
Yeah, but aren't the numbers in Florida just skyrocketing through the roof?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because something crazy happens when you go onto Google and you type in a random number of COVID-19 cases. So I could say, let me use a number that I actually looked up, because I decided, okay, let me just type in area codes from where I'm familiar with to see what pops up in Google. And much to my surprise, I was extremely shocked. You can type in any random 3-digit number into Google, and it will auto generate or generate an article of that specific number of COVID-19 cases somewhere in the United States.
Okay.
Now, here are the numbers that I used. Okay, the big area code here where I live starts with 423. I typed in 423 new cases COVID-19. Popped up an article. Then I typed in the big area code from both places I lived in Virginia. I typed in 276. An article popped up for 276 new cases. Then I typed in 540. Then an article showed 540 new cases at this place. Then I typed in another big area code here in Tennessee, 865. Lo and behold, 865 new cases at this particular location. Then I also used a Kentucky area code, 606. Same thing, 606 new cases at this particular point. I used the North Carolina area code, 828. 828 new cases here. Then I was like, okay, let's just do consecutive triple digits. Let's do, my wife dared me to do this one. She said type in 666 new COVID cases. Lo and behold, there were in Oklahoma. And then my wife typed in 999, and 999 new cases popped up in this county in Virginia that I've never heard of called Farquhar County. So they can say the numbers are spiking or the numbers are this and that, but if you could literally type in some random number, random 3-digit number into Google, and it generates an article of where that number of cases of COVID have popped up, it's a laughing stock. It's a joke.
Yeah, but you know what? what huge blunder Andrew Cuomo of New York State made. He when he
What?
sent COVID-19 patients to nursing homes.
Yes. That's what I was telling you about, where the Department of Justice is opening up a criminal investigation into that.
What a place to send them! I mean, I thought they said they opened up the Jacob Javits Center where they have conventions and put hospital beds with dividers there. I mean, there's plenty of room in a huge convention center. Why do they have to subject those poor souls to COVID-19 infection with anybody, even visitors or whatever? I mean these. It's just not common sense. I mean, you don't need a college degree and
Right.
be a governor to think, oh, that's a dumb idea. I'm not going to do that. You know, it's like even the average person can figure that out. You know, but now the videos that you watched this past week, okay, you showed me a couple of them. All right, there's a lot of great underground information on YouTube and Facebook before Facebook removes it. And well, before YouTube removes it, there's really a lot of underground information, but they're calling the conspiracy theorists of Adnan Anonymous uh, spewing lies and crazy lunatics and they're dangerous, they're this, they're that. So they're demonizing them. But I thought I used to look at them as heroes back in 2016. You know, like WikiLeaks and Anonymous.
Yeah.
You
Well, they're going to do everything in their power to try to suppress it. They're going to try to do everything in their power to suppress anything that does not fit their narratives and their motives. But it's going to be an asinine cause because at this point, the cat's out of the bag. In fact, multiple cats are out of the bag. And there's no way you're going to get them back in the bag now. Absolutely no way in hell that it's going to get back in the bag now. That's what I was saying. People are waking up. They're seeing it for what it really is. And in fact, here, what I was saying here in Tennessee, even establishment owners and employees of establishments are not wearing masks, and they're not forcing customers to do it either. In fact, more and more people are taking them off, and they're enjoying the connection of being human again. And when you see it, and the way people are talking, and the way they're engaging in the behavior of getting back to being humans again, you just see the smiles on their faces again. You see the vibrancy and the happiness restored. And to a point, you kind of want to look at it because we've been conditioned to think, oh, these people are dumb, they're ignorant, they're going to spread this virus, this disease, blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, by seeing them just smiling and being happy, and just enjoying the company of being in each other's company and presence again, it in a way it brings a smile back to your face. 'Cause not to sound like an overly optimistic, naive, gullible person, but that goes back to what I was saying. People want to be respected. They're going to be respected one way or another, and they want to be loved and cared for. They want to love and care for other people. And you see that by people doing that. So in a way, it's like a defiance to how dare you talk to someone? How dare you be human? How dare you do the exact opposite of what we tell you to do? It's like the biggest slap in authoritarianism and oppression and tyranny's face. And to be honest, that is happiness that should be shared because that is something to be happy about. It shows that the reality of a pro-human future, especially socialism, is possible. Because by the way they were talking, the way they were being with each other, they weren't looking at each other as if, oh, well, you're a Democrat, or oh, well, you're a Republican, or, you're this religion, or you're that religion, or, you're this race, or you have these beliefs. No, that just wasn't happening. That was not part of the conversation in any way, shape, or form. Now, I do want to spread that happiness as well because there are things to smile and to be happy and to look forward to, especially what I just said. But, when I was telling you about what happened to me earlier in the week when I got that very unusual phone call from the bank that's been trying to screw me out of my father's estate, that is something to be very happy and to be looking forward to because that is warranting of a smile and to spread happiness and to spread cheer. And, when we were talking about how I used that spirit box you were using and was able to contact my father, and that now we see why it's happening, is I'm convinced my dad wants me to set all matters straight and wants me to right the wrongs he can't now. That's what I honestly think that this is.
Now later on tonight, you want to give it a try, open it up, spirit box.
I might.
All right. Now, the last political thing I'm going to say, because we went at it for a while. It's not, well, yeah, I guess it's political. If people think that the aggressive protesting, rioting, and looting is going to eventually stop over George Floyd, look what happened with the killing of Breonna Taylor. And I think only one cop was held accountable for that in Louisville, Kentucky, or the rest of them got off. The rest of them got off like cops usually do. The worst you can do is have a civil case against them, not a criminal case. But yeah, there's been protesting and borderline rioting. It's getting to that point over Breonna Taylor. So the system that we live in, the authoritarian corporate fascist system that we live in, is responsible for triggering these riots, because people that are working for the man or the system, the oligarch, whatever you want to call it, they think they're above the law, just like Donald Trump thinks he's way above the law. And Mitch McConnell probably feels the same way. He's a dinosaur. He's been there forever. Whatever happened to term limits? But not, I mean, they're dynasties. These establishment corrupt politicians are part of dynasties where they don't move aside to let someone young and new take their place. So these dinosaurs that are part of the very corrupt system that probably meet with all the lobbyists that are willing to pay them off, and a politician is not obligated to meet with lobbyists. They're part of the system that lets the cops off scot-free that commit murder against people of color and causes these riots. And these people just want to be heard. They want the politicians to pay attention to them and listen to them, and no one's paying attention to them. No one's really no one cares. No one's listening. So their only course of action is aggressive protesting, which eventually leads to rioting, because looting is bad. That's theft. But rioting is because the cops, the fascist stormtroopers, see the protesters, and they've been immediately attacking protesters that are unarmed, using tear gas, perhaps rubber bullets, mostly tear gas, and batons. And these are protesters who have a constitutional right to assemble. Just like when you make a statement and give your opinion on social media, that opinion is your personal property, right?
Well, it's your intellectual
Intellectual
property.
property.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, intellectual property. Yeah, intellectual property. Personal property would be like me saying the copper divining rods. They're mine.
Well, it depends upon the context. Typically, intellectual property is personal property. Now, can it be used as private property for like means of production and for wealth generation? Yeah, like for example, Donald Trump and his campaign. What's the slogan? Make America Great Again. In that instance, that would be his intellectual property. Yeah, it's his personal property, but it's also private property since it's for the means of
Right.
production.
So when the CEO of Twitter or Mark Zuckerberg uh, denies you your political opinion and removes your post or puts you in suspends you for 10 days, 30 days, even though it's his company, your First Amendment right is violated.
Right.
But because he's now supposedly one of the wealthiest people in the world, he thinks he's above the law. Jeff Bezos can cop an attitude like that too if he wants. I mean, um, uh, yeah, Jeff Bezos is ahead of Zuckerberg, but the Rothschild family is by far the wealthiest. They're worth like $100 trillion. That the whole family, supposedly collectively, Well, we're talking about super plutocracy, upper echelon oligarch. When we're dealing with them, but so that's about. I guess that's about it. I think it's. I smell an odor in the air of cards. I
Yes.
smell cards in the air.
Yes, I do too.
You know, not what was that? Napalm in the morning. I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, something like
That old
that.
movie. It smells like victory. Yeah, I remember that old movie. But anyway, yeah, smell of cards, playing cards. No, these are tarot cards because you're gonna get the State of the Union tarot card reading for this week, for the end of
Mhm.
September to remember, or September to forget. Some people say August was a bad month, but I don't know. Now, I haven't seen any good months yet in 2020. So
Well, in a silver lining way, September was a good month because that's when the whole thing started to backfire and starting to be exposed. So, despite how bad 2020 has been, we could at least I would say, that the silver lining and the first little gleamer twinkle of hope was in September.
okay, now let me ask you a sort of personal question, but not too personal.
Okay.
The bank that has been trying to screw you out of your father's estate, is it possible for you down the road to sue the bank for doing this?
Well, possibly, maybe, but the fact that their attorney has reached out to me to see exactly how this can be settled outside of court, my guess is it went to court and it didn't go in their favor because I have copies upon copies upon copies of paperwork dating all the way back to when, my mom had no more vested interest in the property, but there was a massive screw up on their part that my mom was never taken off of the deed, even though there's paperwork showing that what part of the divorce decree before everything was settled in 2010 between my mom and my dad, that my dad was to give my mom her half of the house, which at the current time when it was praised a little bit higher. It was appraised at like 80 some odd thousand. Well, her half ended up equating to $44,000. Okay, so my dad gave her the 44,000. And then another stipulation was my dad was supposed to give her X amount of his retirement. Because under Virginia law, when you're married for X amount of time, you're entitled to the other person's retirement and other things as part of a divorce. So altogether, collectively, my mom got about $94,000 out of the divorce. Well, when it came time to actually going to the bank, my dad got the mortgage completely into his name because the house was paid off. Now he had to take out another loan to pay off my mom for her half, and then he had to refinance the whole mortgage into his name. Well, he was able to pay off my mom's half and gave her the full $44,000. Now, what it came down to was okay, so the mortgage was in his name solely, but my mom's name were never taken off the deed. It was still shown that they were joint owners of this property. Now, the reason why that was never done was there was someone at the bank who absolutely despised my father, didn't file the appropriate paperwork, and actually committed fraud
Oh, wow.
on the bank's behalf. And he wasn't alone. Now, this man is dead, so good luck prosecuting a corpse. How are you going to prosecute a corpse and, sentence a corpse to prison? However, for entertainment purposes, that would be kind of funny
Well, I
to
would
show this gentleman.
mummify him and just put him in solitary for all eternity.
Yeah, that would be kind of funny for entertainment, but that seemed to just be like, why? What for? This is just pure idiocracy and pure lunacy, but I digress. Um, but there was another woman that was involved with this. Um, and to my knowledge, this woman is in prison for embezzlement. So my mom ended up having to go get an attorney and had to pay an attorney a good amount of money to do some paperwork shuffling. We'll come to find out, eventually they did find the original paperwork where it was supposed to have been done, but it was never done. And then now the courts are now trying to figure out why wasn't this done? Because it shows I'm the administrator of the estate. The bank obstructed me every which way they could. They said, "Yeah, you can pay it off, but you're not entitled to it." So in my mind, I was just like, why would I want to invest money into something that I have absolutely no stake in? Well, their attorney called and said, "Well, what do you really want to do with this property?" I said, "Well, sir, the original intent that I had with this property was I was going to pay off the mortgage. I had all the money to do it to pay off the principal plus any interest, any late fees. All I had to do was just put my signature on one wire transfer document, and they could have been wired the money that they needed right then and there that very afternoon. It could have been done in one business day with one document, one transaction. Boom, done and over with." Did that happen? No, it did not, because my half sister tried to pull a fast one. She got the administrative first. I was going to take it to court, and then I got the administrative and then that set me back about another $15,000, and
Wow.
then I have about 25,000 already invested in the house, just trying to keep it up, trying to see exactly what will be the final legal recourse to getting everything redeemed into my name, so that way this can all be taken care of. Well, I ended up stopped making payments on it, and BB&T let it go into foreclosure. Well, when it came right down to it, they still try to hold me accountable and responsible, even though they said you're not accountable and responsible. So when I was talking with the lawyer and I told him what BB&T done, he said that is not true. That is not legal. What it is they did to you. So he said, what what would it take for you to convey your interest in the property back to BB&T? He said, because this is getting expensive for BB&T. I put a lot of hours and a lot of time, invested interest in this on their behalf. They pay me $300 an hour, and this is getting expensive. He didn't specify how much, but my guess is this guy has a lot of time and a lot of money and a lot of vested interest in this. So I said, well, sir, okay, I'll tell you what. if you want to sell this outside of court, I will give my vested interest to the property for a certain amount of monetary value. I said, here's my price. If they want to, 40,000 for me. So I would have been guaranteed my half. That way, I would get my attorney's fees, my invested interest that I have in the house back, plus an additional 10 to 15 grand on top of it to boot. And I said, and for dragging my mother into this, even though she really had no stake in this, and this really brought about a lot of undue tension and hassle and heartache for her, 40,000 for her. And the lawyer said, well, I can see what I could do to play devil's advocate to get you paid, but I don't know about getting your mother paid. Well, in a roundabout way, I kind of did it as a mind game. See, I knew my mom had no vested interest in it. I just wanted to see what they would say. 40,000 for me, 40,000 for her. Well, if she doesn't get paid, then in a roundabout way, I'd get the full 80,000.
You're a sharp cookie. You're smart. Wow, that's good. Good work.
Well, that's about what I would have gotten out of it, because all it would have taken was, there was about 44,000 left on the principal of the mortgage, and the interest was relatively low, and there was no late fees. So I could have wired him $44,000, and if I would have put a little bit of time and a little bit of money into renovating it a little bit, just enough to kind of give it a little bit of modern amenity, just to kind of bring it up to code a little bit better and to make it more visually appealing, I probably would have got maybe about 80 to 85,000 out of the house altogether. That's about what I would have gotten.
Knock on wood. Good luck. Good luck to you, because you're gonna have fun putting that money to great use. Number one, getting your credit, you and your wife's credit, way up, way up there. And once you have high credit, and the sky's the limit, and you have then you have the lawsuit about what you went through at the market concerning the mask and the asthma attacks.
Yeah. Well, I've decided I'm going to take my case to the media. Now, which media, I don't know. Whoever I can reach out to and is willing to have me on and willing to interview me, I'll take it.
Where is the closest news network station out of? What Tennessee city? The
local media is out of Bristol, Tennessee, called WCYB. I've sent you multiple articles regarding them, but to be honest, I don't want to take this to local media. I want to take this to where this can reach the whole nation.
Major network, yeah. So it's like any of the big ones, ABC, CBS, NBC, whatever city they're in. If they're in Nashville, Memphis, whatever. I don't know the size of the cities. That I don't know where the nearest major network news station happens to be in Tennessee, but yeah, I don't blame you. Because that's going to make headline news.
Well, I want to go to the media, but I don't want to go to the mainstream media. I want to take this to underground media or alternative media or independent media that has a large following, and I could reach more people. Because, I'm part of a group on Facebook called Mask Off America. And the group it used to be a much bigger group. There was almost 30,000 people in this group. And they were a mixed bag in terms of religious and political beliefs, but Facebook took it down and censored it and made it to where the original page could not be recovered. So they decided to make a whole brand new page. And I've told people my story about what's happened to me. And the first time I posted in that page, when I told them my story, I got well over hundreds of reactions to my story, and
Hmm.
I got multitudes of comments
Wow.
because of
Yeah, you saw my friend's article got published about masks. I
it. Hmm.
put it on Progressive Discussions Facebook page. Yeah, that goes worldwide. That,
Yep.
online publishing. I don't know, what is it, Global something or other?
I don't know, but
Yeah.
it even got shares. People even shared the story.
Well,
So
that's
I've
good.
reached. So I've reached people, but I don't think I've reached enough.
Yeah, like that's why I'm saying, like, if you can, you write an article, put the blog on your Facebook page, also put the blog on Progressive Discussions, then you can take it and run with it. You can try to get it published on some popular worldwide company, like the one that Michael J. Talmo got his published on. Uh, he used to write many progressive articles for my late co-host's newsletter. He had a newsletter called Censored,
Hmm.
because he was censored back in the mid 1970s. He was censored. He had what do you call a SWAT team? A SWAT team, or the cops came to his house and confiscated his newsletters, and he pretty much was very far left. It was a very far left newsletter, and he talked about censorship, um, how far it can go, how negative censorship can be. You
Hmm.
know, they came for this group, then they came for that group, then they came for us,
Yep.
because it gets worse. It doesn't get better.
Yeah, you're right. But my last point, then we can dive into the tarot cards. So I talked to my mom about it, and I don't. I could have swore whenever I saw my mom on Labor Day, I told her the whole story. But she asked me, tell me exactly what happened that night when you were hospitalized because of an asthma attack. Well, I explained to her everything that happened, and this is something I never thought of. It was an asthma attack, but there could have been something else that could have potentially happened. And this is a term that I've never heard of. But when I actually looked it up in the way she explained it to me, it could have made sense. But if it did happen, it must have been so mild that it was so mild that it went undetected. She throughout this term of, are you sure you didn't potentially have, along with the asthma attack, a pulmonary embolism?
I've heard that term before. Is she suggesting you go to a cardiologist?
Well, she explained it to me was when you told me that you passed out, you know, did they check your O2 saturation? I said, yeah, my O2 saturation was normal. I didn't pass out with the mask on. I was able to get it off of my face, like down here, away from my nose and my mouth. And when I passed out, that's when, my O2 saturation could have came back up. She said, well, you could have passed out because, your O2 saturation was extremely low. And by you breathing in your own carbon dioxide, it must have had some kind of weird effect. And she's like, I'm glad that, you were at least sitting down at a table and, you weren't standing behind the wheel of a car because that could have been catastrophic.
Yeah, she's
But she
absolutely
said, for, with the pulmonary embolism, she said, are you sure that by being oxygen deprived and having this severe asthma that it could have potentially caused a really small blood clot? And then eventually that clot burst. I said, possibly, but when they did the chest X-ray came back normal. So there was really no initial evidence at first to really show that I could have had a pulmonary embolism. She said, "What? When you explained it, where you had an asthma attack, and in a way, it triggered an anxiety attack. But when you said that your chest from here all the way down went numb and tingled and started locking up, in the same way with your arms, when it went numb and started tingling from the where the arm and the shoulder connect down to your fingertips when you broke out into a cold sweat and turned pale as a ghost. That is a sign of a really bad asthma attack, but an anxiety attack, but that can even show a pulmonary embolism.
Huh.
That's just how she explained it. I'm like, it's possible. And she said, what they do for you at the hospital? I said, they gave the diagnosis of moderate asthma with exacerbation. Now at the hospital, they gave me 40 milligrams of prednisone, and they gave me this really strong breathing treatment for 20 minutes and was able to discharge me that following night.
And you have these medical reports in your possession on paper.
Yep, and my primary care physician has it. I've I'm on 2 inhalers. I have a regular buterol inhaler for sudden onset, but if I'm having a good day and I just need like more like the long lasting relief to kind of stave it off on top of the high amount of vitamin C, I've got an inhaler of Symbicort.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, I've got 2 inhalers that I've got the buterol for sudden onset. And if I'm having a good day, but just want to kind of keep the inflammation and everything at bay, with along with the high amount of vitamin C, that's what the Symbicort is for. Um, I can tell that mentally I'm starting to get better. I'm kind of getting out of the funk a little bit. Physically, I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but you can tell it's definitely caused some damage. I don't know if you can hear it, but like when I take a breath in and when I'm breathing, I can tell whatever it is that happened that night, it's caused some sort of damage.
Well, I heard a definite marketable difference in your voice the first week after. The first
Hmm.
week after you were hospitalized in the ER, I heard a definite difference in your voice, the pitch, and your breathing. Like you had to take like a deep breath after every sentence.
Well, I'm still doing it now if you've not noticed.
Yeah, you like before you were um, forced into wearing a mask for a whole work period. You used to be able to bang out like several sentences, like a whole paragraph without stopping, without coming up for
Hmm.
air. But since then, you say a couple sentences, you take a breath. You say a few more sentences, take a breath. That's what I've noticed.
And also, you can even hear it when I'm taking breaths. I'll even hold the mic up a little bit more so you can hear it. This is me taking a breath. Hear that in my chest?
Yeah.
Hear that wheeze?
Usually, a nurse told me take a deep breath and try to hold it for, I don't know if she said 30 seconds or 60 seconds. You hold your breath and then start breathing again. If you feel a pain in your chest or you start coughing, there's a problem. I'm trying to remember if it was 30 or 60 seconds of holding your breath.
I've tried to do that, and I get a tightness in my chest and I get lightheaded.
Ah, oh, maybe talk to your primary. See if it would benefit your case if you saw a cardiologist.
Well, let me try to find the mic on the tablet. So I'm gonna take a breath through my nose and through my mouth, and I've got it here near my chest. And let's see if you can hear like this. It's a wheeze, but it's some sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, but ever since that asthma attack, I've heard it. Now, let's see which it makes it more pronounced. Okay, so I'm going to do the nose. Now, don't pay attention to the me breathing in through my nose. Pay attention to what you hear in the chest. All right, here I go.
I heard it.
All right, one more time.
Oh yeah, I heard it. Wheeze.
All right, now this is
Yeah, like a rumbling wheeze.
now, and this is going to be through my mouth. I'm going to hold my nose just that way nothing gets through the nose.
Yep.
All right, I'll do it one more time.
It's like someone snoring
Mm-hmm.
on their back. That has sleep apnea or somebody who's snoring. Yeah, I heard it. I heard it both times actually.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it both
That
times. You know.
that has been the development ever since I had that attack.
And the fact that it's being recorded on this live stream show and me witnessing to it is evidence in itself.
Mm-hmm. Now you can also hear it in my voice. I have strength in my voice to a point, but to kind of give it the amplification that it really needs, I'm having to use a mixture of my chest voice. I'm having to also use a little bit of my nasal and my head voice just to kind of give it the additional amplification that it needs, because if I was to do solely my chest voice, now I'm gonna go more into the chest and not be so nasally and more of the head. Now, this is me talking with just my chest voice. Do you notice a difference? It's deeper, but what else do you notice? It's kind of subtle, you have to pick up on it, but listen to it in the voice.
It's like, well, besides it being a deeper baritone type of voice.
It's a baritone, it's a deeper voice, but listen to the nuance that is in the voice and listen to how it cracks and how it has a certain degree of rasp to it.
Oh, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, a raspy you know like an animal like starting to growl a little bit like
Yeah. So now I'm going to go back to do what?
A gurgly sound.
Yeah.
That's the word.
That is what has been the after effect of what's happened. So obviously it's done something. It's done some sort of damage. Now, can it be repaired? I hope. I hope this is something that I'm not stuck with for the rest of my life, but time will tell. Now I've returned back to how I'm having to talk now. I'm having to do a mix of chest and nasal and head. That's why, it doesn't sound as deep. It sounds higher pitch. I mean, it's still deep, but there's more of a variation in the tone and in the pitch. It's more diversified.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, I definitely notice it.
Yep. All right. Well, yep. It is that time.
Yes, it is that time, and I am going.
Back in a moment.
I am going to put on intermission music, and we will be back with the State of the Union tarot card reading by Damien the Dissenter Owens for this week's progressive discussion. Okay. Let me come back here. I want to welcome everyone to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James Parana Madonna, and you are going to see and hear the State of the Union Tarot Card Reading by Damien the Dissenter Owens. You've heard politics, progressive politics. You've heard the real hard-hitting truth. And now we will delve into mysticism. I'm very happy I came up with this idea, this very unique idea, brainstorm, brainchild, or whatever, of mixing politics, current news topics with mysticism. Click like to our new Facebook page, New Age Mysticism and Healing. I use the ampersand for and. New Age Mysticism and Healing. Click like to it. Click like to Progressive Discussions Facebook page. We have a YouTube channel, and we're on Tumblr, all under Progressive Discussions. So very soon, Damien Owens will have the cards all shuffled and laid out. And we will see what kind of deep enlightenment we will get this week for the United States of America. I don't know, man. We're in deep shit's creek without a paddle. Going up deep shit's creek without a paddle. Total chaos. And of course, this Tuesday is the biggest joke in the universe that was ever concocted and meant to be serious. And that's the first presidential debate for the 2020 election year between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, the Trumpanzee, and touchy-feely Joe. They will go at each other's throats. Two old establishment geezers, two capitalists, both with a short fuse, will go at each other's throats. And I will sit back and enjoy every second of entertainment, because it will be a carnival, a circus sideshow. It will be, especially, in my opinion, with Donald Trump, because I'm no fan of any right-wing conservative whatsoever. The Democratic Socialists of America, comrades, I salute you. So, any second, take your time. Damien, shuffle those cards very thoroughly until your third eye tells you to stop shuffling the cards. This way, you get the mojo flowing in the cards. They say the more you handle your tarot cards, the more revealing they become, because the energy you give off, the frequency that you give off, enters the cards. Same thing with crystals, crystal wands, crystal pyramids. I got a new, beautiful, ancient Egyptian obelisk replica. The photograph, and it's in all its high definition detail, is on the Facebook page, New Age Mysticism and Healing. And I'm attempting to grow date palm bonsais in a authentic ceramic bonsai pot, a large one too. I'm sprouting date palm seeds, so wish me luck. Knock on wood. They sprouted already, by the way. The sprouts are dark greens, which is a good sign. So it soaks in the photosynthesis from the bright sunny window. And I have a sphinx, very elaborate, detailed, beautiful sphinx. Now I have a black and gold, also Egyptian obelisk. Both of them are black and gold. But anyway, definitely check out. Oh, he's here.
Yep, I am here, everyone. So I went ahead, I shuffled the cards, I took a quick glance at all of them, and you know what? We have some very, very good news. In fact, this is the news we've all been wanting and we've all been waiting for. So it's still technically the darkest hour and the darkest time is still upon us, but the light is at the end of the tunnel, and we are going to that light at the end of the tunnel. In fact, it is literally right within our grasp. So here we go. Let's go ahead and let's switch the camera, and let's go ahead and see what they have to show. Okay. So this is this week's reading. And at first glance, I'm very happy. And in fact, like I said, this is the news we've all been waiting for. All right, so the situation right now is being represented by the Four of Cups. Now, last week, we saw that there was a lot of desires, emotions, action, and all that good stuff going on. But now we see that now we have Dr. Scott Atlas now heading the Corona Task Force, and now he's just outright telling the truth and just telling people the coronavirus is not really as deadly as what it was once to be told that it was. There are multiple cures for it. The hydroxychloroquine and zinc is the big one, but vitamins and minerals work for treatment as well. They work as a preventive measure, and then also the virus is spread via airborne. It's not spread just through droplets. It's spread via airborne, and that really it's no different than any of the other coronaviruses that are out there. And it can be killed and very easily defeated. Sunlight can kill it. Disinfectants can clean it. So there's multiple ways that this can be prevented, and there are multiple ways that it can be cured. And that now that people are starting to wake up and starting to pay attention, you know, this is what we've now been wanting, and that now we're finally getting it. The new emotions with the new light that Dr. Scott Atlas has been shedding on everything. Here's the previous cups that really brought us nowhere, but now we've got the new cup coming our way. So that's good news and great things of signs to come. All right, so here are past. The Knight of Wands has been showing up here in a lot of various spreads and in different positions. Well, now he's in the past. So the desire to want to reopen, to want to get back to life as normal, wanting to go ahead and just lift all these restrictions and do a much better way of handling this. People that are not sick, leave alone. People who are sick should stay home and quarantine, all that good stuff. But the present shows that, yeah, well, although we still technically are in the darkest hour, we're nearing completion, if not complete, by the world. The world is the last card of the major arcana. So, which means we are at the crossroad and we are already taking the path. This is the completion of this particular path, and now we're going to the new one. Now that we have answers, we have the solutions to the problem, it gives us a sense of completion. It gives us a sense of now we can go back to normal, but it will be a new normal, not in the um, mask bullshit and all these other anti-human authoritarian draconian measures. It'll be a new normal, as in, yeah, the restrictions will be lifted and there will be a time of transition to getting back to normal. We'll get to normal, but it's not going to be the same. And in all honesty, it shouldn't be the same, because now that humanity is awakened, we don't need to go back. We don't need to go back to that time where, you know, people just lived life day to day. I mean, just whatever happened, happened. They didn't live in the moment. They didn't really cherish this or that. And just humanity was not there. The aspects that made human beings was not there. But now that it is, by the silver lining of all this bringing us together, it's there. So that's great news and exactly what we've been needing. Now, the future. The future is going to be definitely one to look forward to. But in the immediate future, what we're going to see is people are going to feel burdened. And where they're going to feel burdened is not only in terms of desires, but physically and emotionally, they're going to be burdened, because this has created a lot of undue stress, a lot of undue tension between individuals, physically and psychologically. So it's going to be a time of feeling like they're carrying around great burdens, and that they're wanting to get all of this off their chest, and they're going to feel like they're burdening other people while doing it. So there's going to be a time of where we're going to have an exchange of debates for this or for that, but at the same time, it's going to be a more constructive release of getting stuff off the chest. However, the outcome, as indicated by the King of Swords, we're going to ultimately get things under control. And I would say it's going to be within the next weeks, maybe months, but I would ultimately say it's going to be soon because the sword is air. Well, air is a quick moving element, so that's why I say this period that we're going through here is not going to be all that long lived. Now, let's look here at the connection cards. Okay, so this guy has shown up in several instances of the Page of Wands. Well, now he's a connection card between the um, present and the past. So now that we have this here and we have the Knight, the Page of Wands, the desire is there. They've already been implemented. There's no stopping the train. There's no stopping the momentum because you've got it from the feminine aspect and you've got it from the masculine aspect. And when you got these two in synchrony, ain't stopping it. Because men and women are feeling the same way on this. So there's no way they're going to be able to pit men against women and try to make this a sex issue. Or I don't think they're really going to try to make this through any other division. I don't think they're going to be able to say, oh, well, it's a sex issue, it's a race issue, it's a this religious issue, that political issue. No, it just that's done. Divisions of pitting people against each other like that, they're just done. They're over. Now the connection between the um, present and the future, the Page of Swords, again, we've got the desires, now we've got the action. Even though, yeah, this is in a more young, feminine type of action, it still has some masculine aspects to it, but just the fact of, we let our emotions get the best of us. We let fear control us and manipulate us, and that we felt duped and bamboozled. Now it's kind of like, okay, well, we're going to use some tough love, but we're going to give tough love in the traditional way, but we're going to give it also in a non-traditional way. So it's going to be, haha, I told you so, but still giving the hugs and the shoulder to cry on and the pat on the back to say, glad you learned your lesson. That's what we're going to see. However, I do foresee one more setback. And this is going to be indicated by the Three of Swords. So that goes along with what it was I was saying as to what the Ten of Wands is representing. That people just feel so physically and emotionally broken. But despite the fact that they're broken, they feel like they can fix themselves and they're going to get fixed. But that's going to be the big setback is, yeah, it's brought us together to a point. And then now that we're actually here and that we've never really done something like this before, and that, in order to get things moving along, we're going to have to let a lot of um, stress and tension be released, whether it's physical, emotional, and it's going to create more of a conundrum in the beginning. But once we see that we're not alone in our feelings and in our physical, what's the best way to word it? That we're not alone in how we feel physically and also the same way emotionally and psychologically. So it's going to be a rough beginning getting it started, but once it gets started, it's going to take hold and it's just going to be the train that's going to be unstoppable. So that is what I say is
Your mic went dead before.
What did it not pick up? Can you hear me?
After you said the words, that's what I said about like when you got to the end, like to the tail, like to the end of the reading, like what cards did you you talk about? How many towards the end?
We were
Just
talking
now.
about these three. We were kind of putting the primary focus on these three right here.
Oh yeah, because your mic went completely dead, and I just saw your hand waving around, but I didn't hear you.
I'll make it brief. So the future, there's going to be a lot of physical as well as emotional burdens, and people feel very physically and emotionally and psychologically broken. But now that we've gone through the darkest hour, we've gone through 90% of it. But it's just this last 10% is what is going to be the hardest. And that is getting all of that stress and tension that has been brought as a result of this. It's going to be a bit of a rough road getting it started. But once it actually gets started and it gets going, that people feel more of a sense of connectedness because more and more people feel the same way physically and emotionally, that it's going to set off the King of Swords as the definitive action. So that's when I say that's when I would see the return of the want, the desire of the pro-human future, the pro-human agenda that really is based on mutual respect, love, and care for each other. It's here. It's just this is the last hurdle. And this is what people have been wanting for a long time. Well, it's here. It is here. The groundwork and the foundation is being laid right now as we speak. So my take from this is the past, yeah, what happened happened. There's really no way we can go back and undo what's happened. And to be honest, we shouldn't, because this taught us very important lessons that we wouldn't have not been taught had this not happened. They say everything happens for a reason. Well, it happened. They thought it was going to go in this direction, but instead it turned out going in the other direction. And now it's going back to humanity. Humanity now has control of itself. It's going to continue to get control of itself. And it's time to embrace the future. The future is here, and there is a lot to look forward to. So stick around. We will do another reading for next week, but I'm very happy. I have a renewed sense of optimism for the future. These cards show it, and I want to share this happiness and this optimism with other people. So there's me sharing it with other people by giving you all this. So stick around for next week's reading. There will be another one. Who knows what will show up in the next one? It might even be better than this one. So honestly, who knows?
No, it could be, or it could be worse. The according to the things I keep on hearing on the media, you never know.
No one's taking the media seriously anymore. That's what I'll say. People just are not buying it. The fear is done. The fraud and the scam is done. It's over. But I do want to shed light on one more thing. Yeah, even though Florida is going to be the first state to go for the herd immunity strategy and lift the restrictions, I will say I think it can go really well as long as they educate self-health to people, how they can protect themselves, not only on the individual level, how they can protect each other as a community through self-help, I think it'll go okay. Now, some people be like, "Oh, well, they lift all these restrictions, and you have all these people
Yeah,
voting."
I'm really surprised that DeSantis that he did that, considering his numbers are horrible. I mean, unless he's kissing up to Donald Trump for some reason.
Well,
Oh, your audio, your
is that better?
yeah, you might keep not before. I mean, like towards the end of the reading, and just now it went off and came back.
Oh, it could be the internet connection, but what I was getting ready to say is, I do want to elaborate a bit more. When I was talking about the self-help and how if they just go ahead and educate people, which they should have done all along, with these restrictions being lifted, I think it'll go just fine. I don't really foresee at this point how all of a sudden there's going to be this really big wave and that there's going to be a huge surge in cases. At this point, it's too far along, and
There was a
they've
huge
tried.
Yeah, there was a huge surge when the weather started getting warm, and they said it would go away with the warm weather.
Right, but you know where they've not been so truthful about the numbers, the cases, and how they really determine, what is really a COVID case. If this person does have it, are they contagious? And we went over the viral load to see how much viral load does it actually take to really show someone is sick with it and that they're contagious. There's a lot of unknown factors. That's why I said if they did it like that, the herd immunity and the reopening with the restrictions lifted can actually go very well. However, there's one thing that people do need to realize is okay, so they go ahead, they lift the restrictions. They can have the seating capacity back to 100%. There's no formal enforcement of the mask mandate. Life returns to normalcy in that regard. Well, there are actually some factors that actually still will not change as a result of that. There will still be a fire code for building occupancy. That's not going to somehow magically go away just because the restrictions are being lifted. Um, and there are also other things that will still remain in effect. There will still be spacing between tables and booths and all that. And there's two reasons for that. One, that's also part of the fire code. And secondly, that's for people who have disabilities can have ample access and ample movement throughout the establishment. So it's not going to be like all of a sudden, people are just going to crowd in. It's going to be like people in a sardine can.
Right.
No, that's just not going to happen.
When I went out to eat tonight, it was every other table was utilized. Every other table was open, and then the table between me and the other party, the chairs were turned upside down on top of the table. So they had a table open, table closed, table open. They staggered it, so to make sure there was ample spacing, and it worked out fine. They got a reasonable amount of customers coming in.
Well, with that restriction being lifted, it wouldn't be at 50%. It would be right at to what the building occupancy could do. But that's what I was saying. So even if they go back to 100% occupancy, that's still not going to change instances of the fire code. There would still have to be X amount of spacing between the tables and the booths. So that way, in case of a fire, people can adequately escape from the particular establishment and not burn to death. So that's not going to magically just go away because of the restrictions being lifted. Now, the second thing I was telling you about is they still have to have adequate spacing between the tables for people with disabilities. So that way, if someone has a wheelchair or crutches or a walker, to where they can navigate freely without difficulty throughout the establishment. That's
Yeah, but
not just going to magically go away.
Anybody blowing their COVID-19 respiratory droplets on me when I'm eating. That I mean, I know a lot of people still think that this virus is a fake hoax, and it's not. That's another thing that I want to mention.
Right.
I feel a sense of security that the other table is over 6 feet away from me.
But you really weren't like that until COVID was a thing. That really wasn't an issue before COVID.
Well, I keep on seeing the death rate in the United States.
Right. But at this point, I don't know, like I said, who are they trying to convince in full? Because all they've really got left are themselves to convince in full. Because they've already admitted that the 94% of COVID deaths were with comorbidity. And then even that begs the question of, okay, did they really have COVID or did they not? Okay, well, that still remains a mystery. All right, so they rolled as a COVID-19 death, they had a comorbidity. All right, well, what did they have? Diabetes, heart disease, some other obesity related illness, or whatever ailment or illness you can throw out there that could be potentially deadly on its own. That could have very easily killed him. Could COVID have complicated it? Yeah, it's possible. But how can you really prove that beyond reasonable doubt one way or another? You can't.
Look at the testing. Well, the testing is for both COVID positivity and for the antibody tests. They're both flawed. They're both flawed tests. Someone went back and forth like a yo-yo. You positive, oh, negative, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. And then if you're negative, it says no guarantee you don't have it. Well, then why are you being tested? And then
Right.
something wrong with the antibody testing too.
Right. Well, the antibody test, and then, we don't really know a whole lot about COVID-19. I mean, we have symptoms, but we have so much vagueness that so much has been kept under lock and key. But the big thing we're still missing is the purely isolated sequence to show that it really is a new strain. But then yet we have this other thing that shows it's not a natural mutation of coronavirus, that it's a man-made virus.
So they call it SARS-2, right?
Right.
COVID-19,
but still,
SARS-2, and SARS mysteriously vanished, according to Anthony Fauci, when they came out with a SARS-1 vaccine. They came out with the vaccine, and the vaccine was never really used because SARS-1, the original, just went away. So if it went away, it had to be herd immunity.
Yeah, it had to have. But the big thing that really begs the question of it, and this is where really isolating the sequences and really just getting to the bottom of what COVID-19 really is and how we can actually have a better test of it is we don't really know how much of a viral load it actually takes of this to make someone sick and to make him contagious. Well, one viral particle is enough to potentially infect someone and make them sick and make them contagious. But how much does it really take to break that threshold? Because if you have enough of a viral load, you don't need to take a test to know you're sick. You'll know you're sick. And when you go to get medical treatment for you being sick, the doctors themselves will know you are sick.
Yeah.
But
if your viral load is low, and you still feel not too good, there's a chance that your immune system is not compromised, and it can fight a low viral load of COVID-19, as opposed to people that have received severe symptoms, went on a respirator, and people that were middle-aged who died, people that were younger who died, and they keep on telling the whole story about these younger people who died, and on the news, and they don't mention anything about underlying illnesses. They just show this person who was 40 something or in his late 30s or whatever, who died from COVID-19. But how much can we believe when the media claims that Joe Blow from Idaho, at the age of uh, uh, 39, 39 years old, died from COVID-19.
Hmm. Yeah. So they didn't say how much of a viral load it takes to actually make you sick, but it also doesn't give the details of how much viral load does it have to take in order to make someone contagious. Because theoretically, someone could have maybe one viral particle or maybe just a couple viral particles, but because they have a strong immune system and are not nutritionally deficient, especially in C, D, D3, and zinc, they're going to fight it off very quickly and exhibit no symptoms. But then if they go get tested, they're going to be counted as a test and as a positive case, even though, they could have had it and just got over it. And what's left is just leftover genetic material from when they had it. So that raises the whole entire conundrum is that's why I've been saying, we need to have this whole entire thing decoded, completely put out there so we could just get to the bottom of this, but they're not going to do it. And the last thing is that's one thing I like about Dr. Scott Adams is when he explained his herd immunity strategy, I think it was an actually pretty fair, well balanced approach. He said, go ahead, let it get out there to individuals who are healthy and get infected, but then yet protect those who are more vulnerable and more susceptible. So that way, herd immunity will already be in effect. And that's essentially with what Sweden did. So when he also explained how, yeah, a lot of people have already had this thing and don't even realize it. And yeah, they might have antibodies, but they're not talking about T cell immunity and how T cell will last for years. So even if I could say, they somehow magically make it to where cases are almost non existent in the next, let's say, 3 months. Okay, so they do it in 3 months. And then, okay, so COVID-19 is still around, but cases are going to be very low because once it's out there, it's out there. It's never going to go away. There's always going to be a case somewhere at some point. It's here to stay, whether we like it or not. Now, say for example, in let's say a year, 3 years,
Yeah.
and it does a natural mutation. All right. Well, if you've had it and still having the T cell immunity, your immune system will be able to recognize the mutation based on the stored data that it had from the previous variant of COVID-19. So my guess is, depending on how strong your immune system is and how nutritionally apt you are, it might be, same scenario all over again. You get it, and your body just swats it away. Or in a more mild to moderate case, there's an immune response, an immune reaction. You get the fever, you get the cough, the runny nose, maybe some croupiness in the chest, but then yet you get over it. And then in more severe and profound cases, it could be a lot worse, but still, that's just where I think now that's where we're going to ultimately see Florida being the testing ground for herd immunity. Now, I know they say it's going to be a disastrous plan. Yeah, it has potential to be disastrous, but where people have the desire to just really learn and just want to just get this done, I think it'll go just fine.
I think every state run by a Republican governor is not going to go fine. But we'll see. Well, we'll see.
Well, I don't think he's really going to have a lot of say in terms of how the herd immunity really is going to go.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
lack of restrictions is a bad move. I mean, that's just my call. But
well, yeah, he's lifting the restrictions, but at the same time, here's what it will inevitably do. Okay, so that's why I was saying, okay, so the restrictions are lifted. Okay, well, I just mentioned what's not going to just magically go away. I think what you're going to ultimately see is more individual accountability and responsibility for not only one's actions, but taking accountability and responsibility for their own health, something that they should have done in the very beginning. So it's not too late to do it, but it's just now where it's gone on for so long and that it's been out there for so long that I don't really think it's going to make all that much of a negligible difference at this point. For all we know, maybe it really has just run its course, or it's in the light process of running its course.
Well, I think we need big government to look after people that don't know better. I mean, to just let people be responsible for their own lives and their own actions. That's like turning the United States back to the 19th century.
No, it's not in that context like that. It's not in the context like that.
If you're poor, you die. If you're sick, if you're really sick, and you don't have money for physicians, you die. That's how it was in the 19th century.
I get where you're coming from, but it's not in that fashion. It's not in that context. I mean, what you're going to see is, like I said, people are now willing to learn about nutrition and about self-help. That, there are ways you can live a healthy lifestyle and still be a healthy individual. It primarily starts with diet.
Yeah, well, they're not getting it from the mainstream media, that's for sure, because they're not teaching, they're not saying one word about vitamin D3 or anything, or zinc or anything. They're absolutely nothing. The only thing they talk about is vaccine, 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 and the number of deaths. They don't teach anybody anything. Even the Trump administration doesn't talk about immune system, building the immune system or anything like that. It's like you're going to learn it from the underground media, on social media, on the internet, yes, on YouTube, Facebook videos, yes. That's where you're going to listen to people like Dr. Atlas and others talk about immune system and immune system building and herd immunity and nutrition, and also how the evil forces are behind the vaccine for profit reasons, and Bill Gates and so on and so forth. But I mean, DeSantis actually wants bars and restaurants to just let them all come in. I mean, maximum capacity.
Yeah, he's lifted the restrictions on bars, restaurants, establishments that are open for business, but the mask mandate has not been repealed. It's just formal enforcement is what's been repealed, and the criminal penalties have been removed as well. So that's why I say, I think it's going to go okay. I really do think it's going to go okay.
Good luck, Florida. Good luck, Texas. Good luck, Arizona, because you're going to need it.
Well, like I said, where people are educating themselves about health and nutrition, that's going to be what ultimately makes it not go horribly disastrously wrong.
Divining rods. Are these constitutionalists living in all these states that want the freedom to do whatever the hell they want? Are they going to be sorry in the end? Yes or no? No. Goodbye, United States. It was nice knowing you.
Well, let's see here. Okay, so copper divining rods.
Yeah, like libertarians and constitutionalists that they always cry about my freedom, my freedom. All right.
Okay, well, let's see here. So copper divining rods, the tarot reading that I just did about how now humanity is waking up and now it's going to be more of a system based on mutual respect, care, and love. Is that really true and is going to happen in the foreseeable future?
Foreseeable, yeah.
Okay. Now, next copper divining rods. So, with the new information that has come forward about nutrition and self health, and now Florida reopening and going for the herd immunity strategy, is it going to go in a, let me think of the best way to word it. Will Florida's herd immunity strategy, with the new information that has come forward, will it not go disastrously? So they're
So
saying, so what you're saying, Divining Rods, is the way they're going to do it, it's going to go disastrous.
have you ever taken a good look at DeSantis, how he walks and
All
talks?
right. Well, let's see what they say as to how it's going to go disastrous.
It reminds me of Boss Hog with hair on his head.
Will it go disastrously wrong because of most Floridians not knowing adequate nutrition and not practicing self-health? Is that why it will go disastrously wrong?
Yeah, because they're jackasses. I know people that live in Florida. They tell me their fellow Floridians are imbeciles.
Okay, so divining rods. So, like, let's say, for example, if another state lifts restrictions but educates nutrition and self-health, will a herd immunity strategy like that go well?
Okay, so it has to be implemented. It has to be applied. You can't,
Okay.
Yeah, hold on. I'm just repositioning. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so what you're saying, divining rods, is the restrictions are really an indeterminate factor. It's more down to the individuals. That's more of the X factor. Okay, so that's just basically been what I was saying. A herd immunity strategy can go very well, but it can go disastrously wrong too. It's just a matter of how you educate people and how you implement it.
Was Dr. Fauci on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah smiling like the Cheshire Cat because a vaccine will be ready and available much sooner than anticipated? Was he happy about the vaccine coming soon because of the profit making that will come from the vaccine? Was he really an old time friend of Bill Gates? Are they part of the same sinister scheme? Oh, no wonder why he looks so happy. I mean, nobody's going to be that happy because they had vocal cord surgery. I mean, he was really smiling like during the whole interview. Trevor Noah took the place of Jon Stewart on the Daily Show.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I kind of like Jon Stewart in a way. He was funny,
Yeah,
but I didn't really like him as a person. His sense of humor and the way he presented his humor was funny, but I just didn't like him as a person. Or he had a certain degree of smug and arrogance to him that I just didn't like.
You know who fits that bill? Bill Maher.
Bill Maher. Well, Bill Maher, he's intelligent in his own way, but he's a lot like Cenk Uygur in that, okay, they're very smart, perceptive, and intelligent guys, all right, but they're they're incapable of really seeing the real big picture. It's like with them, they make one step forward and then two steps back.
I think I know what you're talking about. Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks. Okay, it's an internet left-wing progressive media show with his what do you call co-host Anna. Now, Cenk Uygur is supposed to be representing real progressivism. and the left wing. Now, when Cenk Uygur made Cenk Uygur, Iker, whatever, when he made the statement that he has nothing against capitalism and he likes capitalism very much, is that a big contradiction, divining rods, to the representation of his network? So in a way, he's kind of like Bernie Sanders. He's talking out of two sides of his mouth. Yeah, is he currently profiting quite a bit from this far left progressive network he owns? Yeah, because I saw him promoting a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I've seen it. All right, so now I've got some more questions for the divining rods. Okay, so will there be a turning point in Florida's reopening herd immunity strategy? Will there be a turn where inevitably it is disastrous, but eventually it turns into a not so disastrous plan at some point? Okay, so I think so what they're going to do is it's going to be disastrous in the beginning because, they've not really done it, but eventually it will correct itself.
I think you like that hog wild, no restrictions in Florida concept.
No, it's just,
because
I'm tapping the divining rod's brain to really see, how can we make this work? Because this is what people in humanity want. They're tired of living under these restrictions. They don't work.
Yeah, but that's the way the crab cake crumbles. Humanity wants to be prosperous and happy and successful and healthy. Well, guess what? Shit happens on the planet Earth. I hate to say it, shit sometimes just happens. What about a 10 on the Richter scale earthquake they had in Chile that time?
Mm-hmm.
You think they enjoyed it? No, of course not. It was number 10 on the Richter scale, but it happened. Same thing if it happens in Los Angeles or San Francisco or whatever, or a Category 5 tornado or earthquake. Not earthquake, I'm sorry, hurricane hits, some city in the south of the Midwest. Hey, the virus doesn't care. Like Ebola, you could talk about any virus, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It's a virus. Its only purpose is to find the host and replicate. It doesn't care about how people feel or their religion or their politics. You know what I mean? It's like sometimes you got to suck it up and look at the Great Depression. Those people that went through the Depression, they had to deal with it. It was horrible back when it happened, but they had to deal with it. Now DeSantis is a jackass. I don't know. He's got this arrogant smirk on his face. Not even a smile, a smirk. And they say he's a big Donald Trump kiss ass and
right.
fan. So that's probably why he's doing it.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying about, sometimes life happens and shit happens. Well, there are things that are within control and there are things that are out of control. Like a really bad earthquake, yeah, that's out of control. That's out of direct control of people. But this COVID-19 can be controlled. It's a controllable situation.
But how is DeSantis going to do anything positive from his restriction lifting?
Well,
how is herd immunity? You can't just force the herd immunity and have everybody go hog wild like it was spring break, and you're a teen and you're a college guy, and just have everybody go hog wild, fill up the bars, fill up the restaurants, fill up the resorts, and just expect this herd immunity to just magically bring the numbers way down.
Well, I know what you're saying, but that's basically what Sweden did was, they really did nothing and just let it run its course. Granted, it took 7 months, but still, they went from the highest cases to the lowest number of cases.
Okay,
In
so
fact, now they're
they protected the people that had underlying illnesses and the elderly, correct?
right, but that's how you get herd immunity out there is basically you have to get it out in the population and let it run its course. Now, every case is going to be different and it's going to be unique in its own way. Now, you can categorize cases. There will be asymptomatic all the way to extreme profound, which result in death. Okay, so we have this whole variable plethora and a whole variable spectrum here. Okay, well, now we have to analyze, okay, well, when we were talking about, viral load, and we still don't know that, that would be a really big help to see how we could best implement it. But since that's really being kept under lock and key, but at least we know that, it's treatable, it's curable, it can be treated with hydroxychloroquine and zinc. All right, well, if someone gets sick and it requires that medication along with that mineral, well, even a severe case, even with that, can cure them really quickly. All right, so we have a treatment for profound or severe cases, but then yet this virus, it's already affected more people than they've really known about it. You could have potentially had it, and because of where you're healthy and nutritionally active, you could have already had it and not even realize it. Same thing with me, my wife, my mother-in-law, Wyatt, your family members, my family members, other Americans, people throughout the world. So
Well,
at
look,
first,
yeah.
we saw that, you know, we didn't really know how to treat it, but as time progressed and we kept working at it and saw what worked in terms of treatment, now they can say the deaths are going up higher, but they're still counting other things as COVID-19 deaths, even though in reality they're not. But see, the thing is now it's not about the deaths. The deaths, yeah, they're talking about it, but that's not the factor. The factor they're still talking about is cases, cases, cases. That is what their focus is on now is cases, cases, cases.
And the testing is so flawed, like
Mhm.
what my friend Ken Thiessen and Ken Thiessen's wife, down in Boca Raton, she was feeling sick. She tested negative, and then it said no guarantee on the invoice. I mean, that don't make sense. Look at Chris Cuomo of CNN. He had moderate symptoms with COVID-19, which is nothing to sneeze at. No pun intended.
Mm-hmm.
Actress Alyssa Milano had moderate also. She had moderate symptoms where she was hospitalized. She was on oxygen, but she recovered also. Now,
Right.
and another CNN woman who has her own show, she had moderate, which is not mild, moderate symptoms, recovered. But Chris Cuomo, his wife and son, I don't know why, because she's probably insisted on taking care of him. His wife and son tested positive, and they live in the same house, but they had no mild symptoms. They like
Right.
they didn't even have mild symptoms. It was almost like they barely had any symptoms, like almost asymptomatic, and they got over it. Then they tested negative. But see, where his immune system wasn't up to par like his wife and his son.
Right.
So,
Okay.
you never know how a person's going to deal with it.
Exactly. That's why I say every case is going to be different. We can't always assume that everybody who gets it is going to be a severe case and is going to be hospitalized and is going to die from it. That was an assumption that was made very early on by the doomsayers and the naysayers. They said, oh, if we do absolutely nothing, 2.2 million people will die. Well, guess what? We've not even got remotely close to 2.2 million
Yeah.
deaths.
Well, before COVID-19, before Wuhan and the wet markets, you had the regular run-of-the-mill influenza, right? Okay.
Right.
Influenza likes the cold weather. All right. You had people that have had mild symptoms of the flu to moderate, mild to moderate symptoms of the flu. They caught it. They got over it. They were all better. Great. Then you had people that got the influenza and unfortunately ended up in the hospital and died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, from the same influenza.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Then you have people that got the flu vaccine that never got the flu that year, and then you have people that got sick from the vaccine. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like I guess dealing with viruses in general is like that. It depends on the same foundation of this subject matter, which is how strong is a person's immune system, and
Mm-hmm.
what have they done to keep it at an optimal working level.
Right. Well, you got the immune system factor, and then you got the nutritional aspect.
Right.
Well, I'm surprised that Florida. They say Florida's all that bad, but you see, they've already got one part of the equation already sort of solved, and they don't even realize it. See, where Florida is a very sunshine oriented state, a lot of people get a lot of sunshine in Florida, so which means they're getting a lot of D and D3,
Yeah.
but they're still missing the other two key components. They're missing vitamin C and they're missing zinc. Okay? So I guarantee you, with as much sunshine that people get in Florida, if they took all vitamins and all minerals in ample amounts to fully protect themselves, that even with these restrictions lifted, it'll still go fine. Now, there was another thing I was wanting to tap the divining rods' brains on to see if this could be another factor as to why it will go disastrously wrong in the beginning, but eventually self correct. All right, so divining rods. Where we have the lack of nutritional deficiency in Floridians, especially like C and zinc, by doing the distancing and not giving the immune system ample practice against other viruses, germs, and bacteria, will that be another reason why it goes amply wrong? Is because of a weakened, compromised immune system of the majority of people? Ah, there we go.
Yeah. The my friends in Florida were telling me that a lot of people in Florida during the spring and summer try to spend most of their time indoors because it's so hot and humid there. But modern day living is, I mean, modern day uh, humanoids spend less time outdoors than their parents and their grandparents and great grandparents and so on did, because of technology. Their entertainment involves being indoors. We have central air conditioning. We have, I mean, there are more people indoors today than in the past, but that is a detriment because it only takes like a half hour of sun hitting your skin per day to produce enough vitamin D3.
Hmm.
People
Now,
of color have trouble doing
yeah,
that.
they do.
Melanin.
That's why. Yeah, that's why in some nursing homes to protect the elderly, see, they developed this really interesting multivitamin. It was high potency, high absorption. And the reason why they made it high potency and high absorption is, these elderly individuals were having particularly difficult problems absorbing vitamins and minerals. So that's why they had to invent this somewhat special formula for vitamins and minerals to make sure that they got the high potency of it, but gave it higher absorption because as you get older, you have a tendency to not absorb nutrients as well.
Oh,
So that,
your body's on the decline as you get older. Everything is on the decline. But another thing with absorption is because of all the toxins and garbage that people have eaten in modern day America. They're impacted. They have impacted. They might have impacted fecal matter. Their small intestines, where the nutrients are absorbed through the walls, through villi, their finger-like projectiles. They might be matted down with mucus and toxins, so they're not absorbing unless they detox.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, John Wayne's autopsy, they found like 40 pounds of impacted fecal matter when they did.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't. Now,
There goes your mic. Yeah, there goes your mic. Kaput.
I'm going back over here.
It's a Samsung.
Here.
What the hell's the matter with these people? Anyway.
All right, that fix it.
Yeah.
All right.
So detoxification is important. Now, psyllium. You've heard of psyllium fiber. They put it in Metamucil. Psyllium is well known for scraping the walls of your intestines and cleaning all the crap out. It's well known for that. Aloe vera juice, well known for that. But if you're not absorbing what you're eating, what you're taking, then you have what they call bedpan bullets. The nutrients are just going right out of your stomach. But that is where the high doses come in. Like if you take 100 milligram B complex capsules, a mega dose. Okay, some are going to be 100 milligrams, some will be more. But because you're taking a higher level of B complex, you're going to maximize your absorption depending on how your body is functioning that day. If you have more stress, you need more B complex. Same thing with C. But are these people taking care of their health? A lot of them no, because they showed the people that have died quite often from COVID-19, and they were, number one, elderly with underlying medical conditions. Number two, they were people of color that were very obese with diabetes, hypertension. All right. So anytime they show the victims who died of COVID-19 in a hospital, they're always under this category. Obesity is an underlying condition, hypertension, okay, heart disease, so on and so forth. Any respiratory, any number of respiratory afflictions. So, but the pattern is always there. Now, they throw in a young person every now and then, just for this scare factor, to frighten younger people, But then again, I think it's still like over 90% of people are either asymptomatic or they have mild to moderate symptoms, and in 14 days they get over it and they test negative after 14 days. Yeah.
Typically, that's usually how it goes, but some people can test positive all the way up to 3 months just by residual genetic material left over from the virus. That's why now they're instituting protocols that after 2 weeks, the case is closed. That's what they're doing here in Tennessee is, even if it's a new confirmed case, in 2 weeks, it's gone. Because they've now seen, what they were talking about, with that with some people, they can test positive all the way up to like 3 months. But like I said, we don't know what the viral load is. We don't know what the viral load makes someone sick. We don't know what the viral load is to make someone contagious.
Right.
And in a lot of ways, that makes a conundrum.
And you mentioned,
however,
the RNA strand identifying the virus.
Right. That's why we need to have a complete decoding of COVID-19 and just figure out what it really is. that'll be a really big tool in getting herd immunity going. Now, not to kind of keep dwelling on it, but I could say even if, for example, they find the cure for COVID and herd immunity takes place, and then everything goes back to a certain degree of normalcy. All right, well, yeah, okay, so we defeated COVID, but in the overall big picture, what does it really change? Because, yeah, even though Americans will be more apt to accept health and nutrition, but still the damage from other various diseases that are much easily treatable and much as easily preventable as contracting COVID, those were far worse epidemics and still are, but it's not warranted, this type of response. Like, we're not going door to door, placing people on house arrest, well, basically forced house arrest, make people wear masks and do this, do that because of the obesity epidemic. And obesity, yeah, it's a choice. Yeah, you can eat unhealthy and then, you get fat, you get sick, and you die. But you could very easily, not eat food that'll make you fat and make you sick and make you die
Right.
and live a healthy lifestyle. So, and obesity in itself, yeah, it's a problem, but there's other various conditions and ailments that are the result or the after effect of obesity, like hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, hypoglycemia, or hyperglycemia. Um, let's see, what are some other things? Strokes, heart attacks, seizures, you name it.
Yeah.
But those have been far worse than what COVID has been, even at its worst. I mean, yeah, in the very beginning, we didn't know how to treat it, and that's why the mortality rate was at like really high numbers, like 10 to sometimes even upwards of like 15, and even in the worst case, 20%. But still, in the overall picture, 80% recovery, 20% mortality, that's still not good. That's still not quite to a disastrous level. Now, the mortality rate is less than 1%, and the recovery rate is now at 99%. So it's gotten better for treatment over time. So it makes one wonder, did the virus change, or was it the treatment that changed? And I can tell you right off the bat what it was. The treatment and the preventive measures is what changed it.
Right.
So,
You remember when every day we heard about HIV? It was constantly about HIV. Well,
right. Well,
and then we stopped hearing about it because it was, yeah, it was a virus that caused a weakened, that attacked the immune system. All right, but it's still a
right.
virus. Um, the herpes virus lives in the nerve cells. You never really get rid of it. It goes dormant. But
Right.
when it's not dormant anymore, and when it becomes active, you either get a cold sores, or the immune system learns how to recognize it and fight it off. Well, we're surrounded by bacteria and viruses everywhere we go. There's like
We are, yeah.
there's multiple millions in 2 liters of ocean water. There's viruses in the ocean water. There's viruses everywhere. It's just like you said, the question of how strong is a person's immune system? What are they doing to help it be stronger? And that's that.
Right.
But that's
That's
their
what,
personal choice, their responsibility.
yeah, it is. But, you're always going to have people that are not going to be team players and are not going to take care of themselves and can really give a flying fuck less about other people. Okay, fine, whatever. They'll suffer the consequences and they'll get the harsh reality of why they should have taken better care of themselves. But still, that's their fault. That's their problem. But
Yeah,
that,
it's like a person who's an alcoholic or a drug addict. that won't go to a rehab center because they feel they don't have a problem.
Right, exactly. But like I said, those who don't want to be a team player and don't want to take care of themselves and really don't care about other people, they'll suffer the consequences. And, they might suffer in this way, they might suffer in that way, but they will suffer the consequences no less. But the
Yep.
main point I was getting at is, when you asked about, lifting the restrictions and, having the full capacity, no formal mandate of the mask and this, that, and the other, as long as you have healthy individuals willing and accepting to go ahead and bulk up on all vitamins and all minerals. I mean, granted, it's not going to happen right away because a lot of people are not nutritionally apt. So it's going to take a little bit for them to go ahead and get it in their system. So here's what I really see what will happen is, okay, so they've gone ahead, they've already done it. So it's already in effect now. All right. Well, it's going to take at least a couple weeks to see, how much of a spike in cases are we really going to see? Okay, so we look at cases, but we got to also look, okay, how many are asymptomatic? How many are mild? How many are moderate? How many are severe? How many are extreme and profound? Okay, so then we got to look at the age group, and then we also got to look at um, what were the pre-existing conditions? Were there any? And if there weren't, or if there were, what was the nutritional aspect? Okay, so we will see the data over time. And even if I could say for Florida's governor, say this is where he stops. He just decides to whatever happens, happens. Okay. Well, in that instance, what's going to kick in is humanity's survival of, okay, this guy has done this, but he's not going to do anything else. So now that means we're going to have to take responsibility and accountability for our actions. We're now responsible for our health, our safety, our well-being. And, we'll see the big spike among those who don't do that. That's where I think we'll see the spike is in those people. But those who take responsibility and accountability for their health and safety and well-being, I don't think they're going to be the ones that go ahead and cause the big spike in cases. It's going to be those people I just told you about. They're going to be the ones that are going to make it look disastrous at first, but they'll suffer the consequences and they'll either wisen up on their own or they'll just die.
Yeah, like everything else that happens in life, all illness and afflictions. I mean, there was mortality rates way before COVID-19 with the number one causes of death, and that's how it is. I mean, people. I mean, look, people in the 19th century and in the 18th century and before that. I mean, people did not live as long as they do now. I
No,
mean,
they don't.
they died, and you had all kinds of diseases that bump you off, at a young age. And I mean, back in the days of the Roman Empire, the average lifespan of a man was like in his mid 30s. I mean, just think about it. That's a short life. And then you had
Mhm.
all kinds of diseases. From yellow fever, cholera, smallpox, tuberculosis. I mean, you can go on and on.
Right.
Um, in the tropics, people succumb to malaria. You had then you had the bubonic plague. I mean, there were many pandemics, and the human race found a way to overcome them. Then the Spanish flu, which so far is worse
Hmm.
than COVID-19. So far, we'll see. Spanish
Yeah,
flu,
we'll see. But
it's worse.
back to what I was saying is just humanity really is they're done living under these restrictions. So if they decide to go ahead and lift it, they're still going to do what they can to still combat this. I don't think just because, even though they're just magically lifted and the restrictions are no longer in place, I don't necessarily think that it's going to make people still not take it seriously, because it would make logical sense to go, okay, well, these restrictions were in place because of da 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 da. Well, if we do this, hopefully we can keep these restrictions at bay. Or I think the way I'm trying to word it is, so I don't get too long winded, is the desire to want to minimize this and overcome this is there. There's no question of we need to go ahead and get this to a very manageable level. The desire is there. It's really just a matter of implementation at this point. Now I think we're just really arguing over implementation. What should we do? What shouldn't we do? Da 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 da. I think that really is the major culprit and really the monkey wrench in the overall scheme of things. But where the desire is just so strong to beat it and overcome it, I think that people are just willing to say, you know what, we'll do whatever it takes to win this and defeat it, but we're not going to do it in the manner that's been done and been perpetuated for so long because of the problems that have existed from it. So I think it'll all come out in the wash. Everything will all come out in the wash.
Well, the restrictions are usually there because it's for people's own good. Especially
Right.
if there's a crisis, if there's a nationwide or a worldwide crisis, sometimes the governments have to step in and to try to drastically solve the problem.
Right. But where people see what it was used for, and that, trying to sell people that, this was for health and safety and for the greater good, all these restrictions, and they're not going to buy it. Because, okay, if it really was about that, then here's what you would have seen that would have been absolutely irrefutable. Anyone who didn't abide by these restrictions to a T would have all gotten sick, or they would have all died. Has that happened? No, it has not.
Yeah,
You would think all of us who didn't wear the mask, didn't do this, didn't do that, we'd all be dead. Well, guess what? We're not all dead.
We had a
So,
recent spike here in New Jersey and New York because what Andrew Cuomo says is there are still people from other areas that commute, that travel back and forth. Now, if you have license plates from a state that has high numbers, you got to quarantine for 2 weeks. If you're in a in a rent a car or something, there's ways of sneaking into New York or New Jersey. But we did have some little spikes, little setback. But overall, things are not that bad because they're gradually reopening. So now we have, what do we have, 25% capacity in restaurants now?
well, here in Tennessee, in this part of Tennessee, out of Sullivan County, I mean, yeah, this is a fairly populated county. I mean, we have over 157,000. Well, now, I'm going to take that wrong. We have had a population increase. I think now we're in the 158 to 159,000. And out of 157,000 people, we never, and even still to this point, we have still yet to top 1,000 cases.
Wow.
We have still yet to top 1,000 cases from this entire beginning. I think like right now, they say there's only oh, I don't know what the most recent numbers are, but I know over in Johnson City, the more bigger city, Washington County has more. They have more people. I I'm trying to think. I think their population is about ours, but they've topped over 1,000 cases.
Oh,
Whereas here,
yeah.
we've still not topped 1,000 cases, but then yet they don't really explain what the cases really are. You know,
Hmm.
whether they were asymptomatic, mild, moderate, hospitalized. We don't know. That's why, if you are sick, yeah, you should stay home. Or if you do have to go out, take precautions. I mean, in that instance, distancing would be a viable option. So that way, keeping your distance from people because you are sick.
How is Memphis and Nashville doing in terms of the number?
Um, Nashville is still doing pretty good. Memphis is doing pretty good. Knoxville is doing pretty good. Um, our governor has really, our governor has really just not really done a whole lot of anything. In fact, he's really been leaving things up to the counties and municipalities.
Oh,
But um, in this instance, by just kind of leaving it more to the municipalities, where there was more direct interaction and more direct control over everything, we did see a better result in this because I think inevitably what happened was people who had the cases self quarantined and did an excellent job of quarantining when they were sick. That's really the best way to go about it is you quarantine sick people. You don't quarantine and restrict everyone. Because like I said, not everyone is sick, not everyone is going to get sick. We need to deal with those who are sick and get sick so that way, we treat them and then we let them go back out. If we'd have just done that in the very beginning, I think we would have seen a much better result.
well,
Um,
you're concerned about the asymptomatic person infecting others that are high risk. That's all. They're concerned about.
well, even though someone is high risk and someone has pre-existing conditions, yeah, that does make them more at risk. And even though they talk about asymptomatic spread, there's really not a whole lot of science and data to really back up the asymptomatic spread in the first place. I mean, it's pretty safe to go ahead and say, if someone's not exhibiting any symptoms and they haven't been tested, and if you were to administer a test, what's the point? They're not exhibiting any symptoms. So, is it possible? Yeah, but the data and the science really behind asymptomatic spread is it's inconclusive. I mean, yeah, it takes that one viral particle to make someone sick. Okay, well, if it takes just the one to make someone sick, then how do you stop it from replicating? Okay, well, we have an answer to that. It's zinc. Zinc is what is killing the virus and is stopping it from replicating.
Well, people that have underlying illnesses, or they happen to be elderly,
Hmm.
and I consider, okay, obesity is an underlying illness because it leads to underlying illnesses. They
Hmm.
just have to wear the mask, use hand sanitizer, and practice social distancing when they leave the house. If they have to leave the house, if it's necessary, they're going to have to do that. Those that are not experiencing symptoms, asymptomatic people, they're going to. I mean, they should still use hand sanitizer, but people that are high risk, they're going to have a barrier. And they say
Hmm.
the mask can provide a 90% barrier against any virus. But just like the video I made, nobody's around me, I'm not going to wear it.
Right.
I went mask. Oh, somebody's coming by me. Mask. Nobody's around me. I put it on my profile. Nobody on Facebook. Nobody's around me. Chin guard. Chin
Right.
guard. And it
Well,
stays. It's chin guard. And then
yeah. here's the problem you're going to run into is, okay, we can educate and inform those who are more susceptible and more at risk, but still, how really can we restrict their movements just because, you know, they're higher risk? Really, about the only way we could do any kind of restriction on their movements or this or that is if they're sick. But if they're not sick, there's not really anything we could do. So the best thing we could really do is say, okay, you're at higher risk, you stand at a higher chance of getting it, but there are still other precautions you could take that will still lower your susceptibility despite the fact you're high risk.
Education is the only option because you can't babysit every American in the country,
Hmm.
regardless what how healthy they are. You can't monitor where you just can't you cannot, just like a cops can't be everywhere at once. There's no way you can monitor every citizen. So if somebody with underlying illnesses doesn't give a fuck and they go outside and they don't sanitize their hands and they don't wear a mask and they don't give a shit, well, then they don't give a shit.
Right.
There's nothing you can do because, I mean, it only takes like several seconds or so to put your hand on a surface with viruses and bring it up to your nose or mouth. Or, I mean, it doesn't take long to
Mm-mm.
cross contaminate. You know that because you work with food. Cross contaminate.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long, but you can't monitor everybody. And you're right; they have to exercise good judgment and personal responsibility from education. But the education's out there, but not about nutrition. That is what I notice in when it comes to our media. Now a little bit of nutritional information is leaking out, but not that much. Most of the time, no, nothing about nutrition. Everything's about the vaccine. The vaccine. So this is where we're at. I mean, education about nutrition. We did it last week. We went pretty extensively into it, and I try to do it. I tried to have that idea with Holistic
Hmm.
Health Talk when I created it in 2012, and I was the only member. And I mean, that was my purpose is for people not to try to make money on the web on the group, but to share information with others, to try to help others. You might have an affliction that you cured with a certain series of herbs and vitamins and minerals. You might have
Hmm.
overcame. So you go turn around and you share that information. Now other people that have the same affliction can also find help through your advice. So that was my purpose of working with the fitness group, for people that don't want to take anabolic steroids. They want to do it the old fashioned way, safe way, exercise. And I had the same thing in mind with that. Uh, uh, Progressive discussions. Well, I always, even when I was a kid, I always had the feeling that capitalism really didn't help the masses. Because I'm thinking to myself, people are spending almost most of their money on living expenses. Or what do they have left over? Surplus cash. How much surplus cash does the average American have to do what they really enjoy doing
Hmm.
something positive for themselves? It could be a vacation. It could be buying a home brewery kit. You know,
Yeah. I'm still thinking about doing the home brewery kit. In fact, I got just a couple more questions for the
yeah.
divining rods.
Well,
Okay.
you'll get once the money comes flowing in, you'll be doing stuff.
Okay. So copper divining rods. Will I be getting a substantial amount of money from the bank as a settlement?
Well, substantial is always a good word.
Okay. Will it be the amount that I'm requesting, or will it be the amount that I'm requesting? Okay. So in other words, it'll be $80,000. Hmm. Will there be any other additional money tacked onto it?
The more the merrier.
Yeah. Okay. So, copper divining rods. Should I still go to the media about my story?
Well, it can
Okay.
only help. I mean, you,
Well, will there be a news media that accepts the story? Hmm.
you'll probably
Well,
have every law firm in the country calling you if you went to the.
well, will I still be hearing from the law firm that I reached out to, Morgan and Morgan? Will they still be reaching out to take my case?
Yeah, what's
Okay.
so long? Hold on.
So, will
Hold
uh, will I still be getting the news of that here fairly soon? Copper divining rods.
on. Oh,
Okay. So the last time I asked, it was going to be within a month. Will it now be less than a month? So what you're saying is it'll still be within about 1 month's time. Okay. So if it's the end of September, I'll at least get a definitive answer from them by November 1st. Okay. So in that instance, if it's before November 1st, it'll be mid-October, late October. Hmm. Okay. So it'll be more like late October to November. Okay. Hmm. So for the amount, will it easily be six figures? Okay. Now this might be a bit of a stretch, but is seven figures possible?
no.
So they're saying it'll be the six figures, not the seven figures.
Oh,
Hmm.
yeah. So, hmm. So it told you that you're going to be getting a call from the lawyer. Uh, you got a lot. You got a lot of things in the works. That's good.
Okay. Well, since it's saying is the six figures only from one lawsuit, or will it be six figures from multiple lawsuits? All right, so the six figures, is that from just one of the lawsuits? Okay, so let's ask it like this. Okay, so if that's just from the one, and there's more than one, collectively, will it equate to more than six figures as a collective? Hmm. So one alone will be six figures, but collectively it'll be seven figures altogether when it's all said and done. Okay. I think I could make it work.
You can make it work. You know what else you can make work? It's the bewitching hour.
Is it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, let's see. How can I minimize this and still bring up my apps? Oh.
Well, you bring up the app and you just go through the screen share screen process like you did with the video game, right?
The mobile version on a tablet is actually different.
Like how much of the screen does it take up? Or if you, I wonder. I know if you're looking at text, if you want to enlarge it, you hit Control and the plus sign. I wonder if that works with images.
Well, I'm trying to see how I can make the StreamYard not take up the whole screen. Uh, let's see. Okay, so there's desktop, there's ad blocker, there's
Oh, you mean you were able to put this thing on your tablet?
yeah, it's on my tablet.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's on my tablet, but I'm just trying to think, okay, I've got Samsung Internet up, so it seems to be the only way I can get it to work for StreamYard. So how can I make this smaller and not... Let's see, what happens if I try to do this?
Well, if it's big, that's okay too. I mean, like in other words, not up to where's that? No, that's not it.
No, what I mean is I'm trying to make it smaller on my screen because the Samsung Internet is taking up the whole screen, and I'm just trying to say, how can I pull up my apps and it not delete the screen? Oh god. Okay, so if I scroll down, then it shows me the option
I
Bluetooth.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, because it's on your desktop. Yeah. Well, you know what? You If you open it up, see what happens if you try to do a screen share. See what's visible. Like see if
Well,
it's visible.
let me switch this to desktop version. It might kick me out, but let's see.
Yeah, it did kick you off. It did kick you off, but you'll be back. Yeah, I think.
Okay, so it kicked me. Alright, well, at least now we have the desktop version. Now let's see, can I make this smaller to where it's not taking up the whole screen? Okay, well, let's see what we got for desktop options. Now, share final page. Alright, well, it does give me the option to screen share, but let's see here. Okay. Screen share. The browser cannot access. The browser cannot access your screen. What?
What?
Alright, let's see if there might be something here in settings. Well, that didn't work. Let's see, what else is there?
Wonder why. Yeah, I'm getting my voice repeating back.
Well, I'm just.
Favorites.
Favorites. What's this?
That's weird.
Okay, tabs. There's tabs. There's grid. Stack. Okay. Okay, so now we've got that. New tab. Let's see. Let me type in the Google Play Store, see if that might help. Okay. So we got that. Okay. Google Play.
You froze. My voice is going back.
It could be where I have my mic on.
I don't know. Well, my voice is not echoing back anymore. You froze, though. There's got to be a way to do this. Maybe there's not a way to do it. I don't know. If you folks are wondering what we're trying to do, we're trying to bring up the paranormal ghost hunting tool, you know, that electromagnetic ghost detector that allows spirits to communicate with you or whoever has the electronic device, similar to what they use on the hit show Ghost Adventures and all the other ghost hunting shows that are on various cable TV stations. Ghost Adventures is on the Travel Channel, but there are others.
Well, I think I might have figured it out. So I have it up on an app. Now it's just a matter of screen sharing. So I've got to do with something here in the settings to allow it. So let's see.
Be patient, viewers. Damian Owens will get to the bottom of this. Have a little fun. Will this Tuesday's first presidential debate be a sad, pathetic, and entertaining disaster? So it will, do you think, Copper Divining Rods, that it will be a carnival sideshow this Tuesday? Oh boy, my intuition is correct. So Donald Trump and Joe Biden will really go at it, right?
Yeah, they will. I think I've got it. So all I got to do now is just go into settings and figure out why it's not screen sharing. So let's see here. Okay, so screen share.
Sharing.
Browser cannot access your screen. Try capturing a different screen. Okay, so it's got to be something here in my settings. Let me go to settings. Okay. Privacy and security. All right. All right. That didn't. Okay, sites and downloads. Okay. Let me see if blocking pop-ups helps. Okay, now let's do the screen share. All right, looks like it's still doing it. Okay, so here's how we can fix that. Okay, so now that we've got that pulled up, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
All right, it's on.
I hear it.
me just turn it up a little bit. All right. Let's see here. I'm pointing it in the corner where my dad was, according to this. All right. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get it to work. Oh, it's spiking already.
I hear it.
I've got it pointed right in that corner.
There's
Shining.
no way.
A first word is already showed. Shining. Let's see. Yeah, I've got it pointed right in that corner. Shining. Who's shining?
Yeah, but I can't see it.
It's not going to do the screen share. I don't know why. So I'll have to just read it as it's going. Okay. Shining. Who's shining? Like shining light as intelligence, or someone. Oh, it's spiking again. Oh, there we go. Big spike. Hello, is there someone there? Shining reached. Are you referring to shining as enlightenment, or is shining reached meaning someone has reached enlightenment, or this is a very intelligent, rational discussion? Yeah.
Got booted out. I wonder if the spirit that's communicating with Damian Owens caused the malfunction to boot him out. Now, if he had it on a smartphone, then he could show the smartphone on the live show in front of his camera. That would be nice. So we can all see it. I have it on my phone, but in order for him to communicate with his father, he has to do it there where he lives in his home. Oh well, let's see if Damian Owens is able to return. Hopefully, he will be. Anyway, folks, we are on the web under Progressive Discussions. Cyberspace. We're out there. We're on Tumblr, YouTube, Facebook. We used to be on Twitter, but they terminated my account for very unfair reasons.
Yeah, the app kicked me out, but more came out, and it was just like spiked. So here's what it says.
Right.
Shining reached chills bar aim.
Do you have a smartphone?
Yeah, I think I've got it somewhere. Why?
You put it on smartphone and show it in action. I don't know why it's echoing. I have no idea.
Because I have my volume up. That's why it's echoing. Let me try figuring out the settings. So that way, let's see, okay. Screen sharing. Okay. This browser cannot access your screen. Try capturing a different screen. Okay. So there's got to be something blocking it. There's just got to be. Okay. Settings. Okay. Site and downloads. Okay. Manage website data. Okay. Where's StreamYard? Okay. StreamYard. There we go. All right. No, I don't want to delete it.
If you bring up a photo from your tablet, you can screen share that. Bring up a web page, you can screen share that. But it won't screen share app.
Yeah, that's what's just so weird is why is it not letting me do that? Oh. Okay. Let's see, is there a way to do on the tablet like a screen? Like a screen share through the tablet or show like multiple screens? Let's see. Settings. Okay, display. Alright.
Oh man. Well, this is becoming a. I don't understand why, because I've tried to initiate a share screen during a live show, and it showed my desktop. It showed my desktop. You know what it might come down to?
Yeah, technology's great when it works. In this instance, it just is not working.
Nope.
Nope, still nothing. But let me see if I can keep this one in the background. Can you still hear me? You can still hear me?
Yes.
All right, now I'm going to bring up the app. Okay. Let me know if you still hear me. Oh man, it's still spiking.
When you bring up your video, you can ask.
I'm sorry, what? What'd you say?
When you bring up your video, freezes.
But the audio's still there.
Yes.
Alright, well, in that instance, okay, so we have another word. Boxes. Shining, reach, chills, bar, aimed, boxes. And it's still spiking. Frame. Ooh. Alright, let's see here. So the one who is communicating with me, is it my father? Is my father present in that corner where he was last time? If so, please make your presence known. Oh, it's spiking. Can you hear it?
Yep. Hear it.
Alright, now I'm going to try to be a bit more direct. Father, if you are here, please make your presence known and keep the communication going. Ooh, I just got a cold chill. Yeah, I just got a cold chill, but that cold chill was very short-lived. Now that cold chill has gone to more of a warm, calming feeling. So my guess is he's here.
The spirit past where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, it's right here. I'm in another corner of the room. I was pointing in the corner right over from me. Now it seems like he's here, like right here, and the chair's in this corner, so he's got to be right here behind me. Or he's here in front of me. Let me try pointing in different directions, see where it spikes. Okay. He's actually right here in front of me. It's spiking when I point it directly in front of me.
They have a app that's a free ghost scan that shows you.
Okay, now another word has come in. Bell. What about a bell? Ooh, it's still going. Man, that's a massive spike. Bell rub. Bell rub. Okay. Ooh, another spike. Itching. Itching. Bell rub itching. Possessed. Dad, if you're still here, do you have anything else to say? It's okay. Whatever it is you have to say, please go ahead and say it. It's a judgment-free zone. I take it you must not be very talkative right now, Dad?
Oops. Well, I guess the spirit Damian Owens was communicating with booted him out again. I think it'll be easier to use the ghost hunting tool from a smartphone. This way, it would not affect the live stream show we're doing. And everyone viewing can see the app as it's working, including the communication from the spirit world, the words that that will appear on the Ghost Hunting Tool app. Well, you know, at least he knows that he can't screen share the app from where he has it. You know, but it will work from a smartphone, without a doubt. He would just have to hold up the smartphone as the app is the electromagnetic field indicator bars are spiking as they keep bouncing and spiking.
Yeah, for some reason after X amount of time, it just kicks the StreamYard app off.
Yeah, the spirit world keeps on booting you off the show. But
Yep.
you try, at least you tried, you know, having the app on where it is now. But I'm just saying, with the smartphone, it wouldn't affect you on the show, and then you would everybody would take action. You hold it in front of the camera. You know, but
Yep.
that's the only solution I could.
Yeah, well, I'll download it to my phone, but not tonight. It's 2:30, so I think we should probably be wrapping it up.
Yeah, let's wrap because I'm tired. And plus, you're not getting the same communication you did last time.
Right.
But it's some. But when the people see the bars, it's going to make for very interesting. So anyway, I have no idea why it's just echoing back, but we'll call it a night. And thank you, everyone who
Thank you.
watched this show, and thank you again, Center O. Another block.
Yep, it was.
Bye bye.